Hello, guys and gals. Welcome to Far Out Loki Division versus KWM Loki Division. I am your solo host, Bean Soup Bob, and we're just gonna hop right into it. I'm gonna be doing a lot on my own, so please be patient with me. I'll try my best to make sure the cast is still interesting and entertaining. So first off, we just see the Raijin and Tiamat pretty much instantly banned, followed up by the Gilgamesh. All pretty normal bans for just any team, really. Pretty oppressive gods. Raijin maybe not a top 3 ban, but based on who you ask, could be a top 3. It's all up to interpretation. So in Far Out, we have Call Me Nomad and wildturkeydown in the place of LlVascll and Motion. I don't know which roles they'll be filling in for. See an llVascll ban as the 4th ban. Yeah, otherwise, both these teams middle of the pack teams, so it should be pretty interesting. Far Out, I believe, is 4-4. KWM being 5-3. And then we see this followed up by the Artemis ban. Taking a little bit of time going through these bans, but honestly pretty standard stuff. llVascll also a pretty weird ban. He is a pretty oppressive god, so I can imagine that if the jungler for Far Out is pretty is playing a lot of llVascll, or Far Out as a team is playing a lot of llVascll, he does see a ban. In terms of what's up, we see Odin open, which is what I would be expecting to be picked. We also see Osiris, which is what actually gets picked. Osiris for the side of Far Out, followed straight up by the Athena lock for KWM.
Athena.
Taking a little bit of time on their second pick. I'm going to use this time to go ahead and throw up predictions. I've been having a lot of fun with Achilles. I think he's a bit slept on. Maybe it's just because he doesn't get like the pressure you desire out of a solo laner, but he is just safe all around, all throughout the game. So he does his job. Predictions are up for 5 minutes if anybody would like to vote on this game. We see the Odin get locked in along with the Athena.
Odin!
It's followed straight up by the Cerberus and Yamoja locks. Oh.
Yamoja.
Followed, and then they follow that up on the side of Kittens and Mittens with an Izanami lock.
Izanami.
So going into the second set of bans, pretty normal drafts from both sides. Cerberus seeing a rise in popularity in the solo lane just due to his damage output, the prot shred. He really is just able to provide everything. He has that big team fight ult. He just scales through all phases of the game very well. Great early game, great mid game, great late game. He just does everything you could ever want. And besides that, he's just insanely tanky, insanely hard to kill. Sansa Burrow being banned. Yeah, normally I have there's a little infographic up, but I don't know the Loki teams too well. So I decided to make it non-visible for this time around. I know a lot of Loki teams like to switch around roles and such and switch around their players. And Thor and Odin usually are more of like a set rotation. Like you would know who's playing on any given week basically, unless like somebody's not available. From most Loki games I've watched, I don't know, maybe it's changed, but from the average Loki game I've watched, I see a lot of different players being used, and it's nice to see them get their playtime. These do look like pretty standard lineups though at both these teams. Seems to be their starting lineups. Besides wildturkeydown and Call Me Nomad for the side of Far Out. But we're likely to see Jordan in solo lane. At the very least, Guzzie in mid, Afro, Jesus is, I believe, their support. I know he's their carry. And then we have llVascll in the solo lane for the side of KWM, along with Raging Turtle in the jungle, Monkey Dealer in mid, canonKai in support, and David JLD in ADC. And to round off these bans, we see Far Out finish it off with a Scylla. Kittens with Mittens instantly go with the Baba Yaga pick, an incredibly safe god. Does have some troubles into the Emoja, because she houses and the Emoja throws up the walls, and all of a sudden it's very hard for Baba to maneuver her house, and it does provide the lockdown in order to kill her, which is usually what makes Baba so hard to deal with. But hopefully we see Monkey Dealer who is able to deal with that correctly. And Far Out goes with the Jingwei and the Morgan picks. Not Morgan Le Fay.
Jingwei are the Morgan.
That god made it all the way through picks and bans. As I can't imagine you ever pick a Morgan Le Fay into Athena Odin.
The final set of the day for week 8.
I have Valhalla League 1 channel open. As you can hear, that is starting. And then last pick, we see a Fenrir hover into a lock.
Fenrir.
So all in all, pretty standard drafts out of both sides. I would say the Morgan is a god that you don't see picked that much, but it's not that she's a bad character. It's just a lot of people don't play her that much in the mid roll. She's a very hard character to survive with as well, but if you're able to get her through the early game, she can become a true menace in the late game. Mori also has some good transformation targets, such as the Athena, the Odin, the Emoja, Cerberus, even the Yaga if she needs to. This should be an interesting pick. Yeah, Morgan Le Fay made it through. In my what I'd be imagining is like you see these two drafts, and Morgan Le Fay doesn't do too well against the walls. You don't really want to pick Morgan Le Fay into Odin or Emoja. She's just a very... She can self-peel, right? Obviously, but when you're able to lock her down into one spot, she becomes incredibly easy to kill because she has no leap or jump at the end of the day, and she doesn't output like insane instantaneous damage as other gods do. That are also immobile. So she can be a bit of a liability if the other team's able to dive her correctly. Yeah, very interested to see where these drafts go. If anything, I'd be expecting something out of this duo lane, because we do see Emoja Jingwei versus Athena Izanami. Izanami getting an insane amount of pressure against a Jingwei. Emoja usually able to carry a lane, but I'm not sure if the Emoja will be enough of a presence with the Izanami in the lane. It'll be nice to see how that pans out. I'll hop right into the game. Fairly standard starts. We do see Jordan opt to not go the tier 1 Helm, the T1 Jade Emperors. Instead, he just goes for more pots. Otherwise, anything out of the ordinary you might see. We do see the Athena start with a Sunder. We see Guzzie start with a Conduit Gem, instead of opting for the Conduit instead of the Vamp Shroud or the Sands of Time. Conduit Gem being a pretty good item on Morgan. Morgan also liking Gem of Focus. So, makes sense. Gives her that extra little bit of survivability and movement speed. Honestly, all stats Morgan wants. Bit of extra damage too. Going to close out of the stream because I'm lagging a bit. Yeah, Yeah, maybe not too much insanely early aggression, especially in this mid lane. Both mid lanes basically being carried by their jungler. The aggression's all gonna come from the Osiris and the Fenrir, Mori, and Baba Yaga being pretty passive early game characters. In solo or in duo, though, I expect to see a lot of fighting. In fact, I may be corrected as we see Osiris almost falls the Baba damage, but is able to stay fine. Still having the pressure. Athena dash taunt over in the duo lane, puts a bit of damage on the Jingwei, doesn't force beads, just gets the dash out of her. And they're gonna go invade the duo side Alpha Harpy. In solo lane, we see Odin getting kinda low. Odin opting for his 3-1, so he doesn't have the shield to soak up a bit of that damage early on. Osiris gets the stun off on the tether. We may see Fenrir fall here, but he gets a leap off, surviving. We do see both these players walk back to the mid Harpies. Fenrir opting to stay around, goes to back camps. Might actually fall to the camps. No, he lives. Okay. I don't want to cast a first blood to death to back camps. That'd be quite tragic. Something I didn't actually catch is we do see the blink used out of the Osiris in the mid 2v2. Osiris will not have that option for ganking duo or solo. Another taunt coming onto the Jingwei. Jingwei catching a lot of damage, opting not to beads once more. No panic beats coming out of Afro Jesus. Doing a great job of holding onto those relics, knowing what damage he can and can't take. Worried for him though. If canonKai gets one more point in that taunt, we may see a Jingwei fall for opting to hold the beads just a little bit too long. You see the solo laners slapping at each other. That's nothing new for that role. Otherwise, it's a fairly quiet game. Both teams relatively even in gold, about a 100 gold difference, which really chalked up to a totem of coup at most. Yeah, nothing happening so far. Wish we could see how many charges Sunder had. Do we know if there's a Sunder being used or not? We do see the Surbolt come out onto the Odin, get a bit of poke. Maybe a bit weird considering the Odin hasn't backed yet. Maybe Jordan thought he'd have enough damage to solo him. But that's not the case, as the Odin does live. We do see the Odin opt to jump on the wave though. Might fall, lives at about 80 HP. Able to walk away. You will have to back. I don't think he can stay for that wave. Jordan does walk away. Jordan will get the totem. See the Osiris and the Jingwei on the side of far out opting for the llVascll. So, expecting a lot of early presence out of those two gods. llVascll offering 80 power, 25% attack speed, I believe. And the attack speed slow for 2450. Makes an incredibly potent boxing item. Not many gods can really step up to it. Makes your autos hit insanely hard early game. When you're Osiris and your big autos hitting for 140 apiece, you're going 70, 140, and you got these AoE autos, it's very hard to step up into that. Especially with the damage reduction he gets with the tether and then the mitigations. The blink, Fenrir ult onto the Emoja, but the Emoja does have the beads. The taunt will try to bring her back, but the Riptide is just too strong and pushes her back towards her own tower. See Fenrir blink ult used and the Emoja beads. No kill comes out of it. First blood still on the table. Either team could get this first blood and might snowball them a bit, but so far nothing's happening yet. A bit of aggression here and there out of the sides of Kittens with Mittens, but nothing's come out of it yet. Back to the slow-paced game. Just farming up. You see Serb with a bit of an XP lead. In fact, far out in general with a bit of an XP and a gold lead. But nothing too major. Not nothing that's unfightable, obviously. Moja and the Athena both getting their Thieves online. A weird pickup from the Fenrir, I feel like. The Crusher. Jotun's offering a lot more aggression with the Fenrir ults and brawlers being useful against this Yamoja. Instead he opts for the Crusher for the extra burst damage. We'll see if that pays off. Also see the Baba going Warlocks, as you see every Baba do ever. 3 stacks. It's been a very long time since I've seen a Baba finish stacking post 9 minutes. We might see that this game because Monkey Dealer got it online a bit late. But I can't see him taking more than 11. Just a free extra pen. The early stats, Warlock's offering, I believe, 145 power to 165 when it's fully stacked. All that HP making you harder to kill. You see what may be a kill on the right-hand side. We see Athena come out. The Odin shields saving him from a bit of damage. Odin beads. Stun does not connect. The Odin cage protecting him for a bit longer. You do see Izanami and the Fenrir opting to pull the Scorpion. They try to come to clean up, but there's nothing left here, as Odin does live, but has to use his ult and his beads in order to survive. Osiris will get the back camps for his effort and for his rotation. Otherwise, we're back to seeing who can get this first blood gold off the board. Fenrir looking like he might go for a gank and left on this Jingwei who's under tower. Instead, no, he's going for the purple buff. Taking the farm off the board for the Jingwei. Because Izanami will have a bit of a lead. We do see the Osiris almost falling in mid lane. Will not. The Oval just barely misses, but he will fall to the Osiris. Baba panic beating maybe at the sound of the Izanami, or the Morrigan stun. We see Izanami going in between the T1 and the T2 in order to try to put pressure on the Jingwei. Nothing comes out of that. Mori stunned onto the Fenrir, but Fenrir will just walk away fine. Nothing that Emotion can really do here on her own to kill the Fenrir. We do see that first blood gold go to the Fenrir with Crusher, which is a terrifying thought if you're far out. Ooh. Fenrir is one of those gods that when he gets rolling, he gets rolling. And when you're this Jingwei who only has a dash, Fenrir Brutalize being able to follow the Jingwei dash, and I'm assuming Fenrir would be maxing Brutalize as there's not much to cancel it on the side of far out. It's mainly just the Mori stun. Yamoja's stun obviously being able to cancel it, but it takes a while to get off. At that point, he's got like 3 hits. So Fenrir's maxing the Brutalize, and when you're this Morrigan or this Jingwei and you get caught by this Brutalize, you're gonna take 75% of your health easy. This Crusher. Mori also not being able to invis around him because he has the Crusher. Makes it pretty hard for them to get in. Emoji ult does come out to try to save the Osiris. Osiris taking a lot of damage. Baba not able to finish off the kill, but Izanami ult comes out, leaves him at 80, but the 2 does not connect. He's too fast. Osiris will be fine for now. Baba Yaga may be overextending for this a bit. You see the Athena ult come out on top of her. Save her life. Baba Yaga does not get punished for that. But the Athena ult and the Baba house are forced. Can't see what happened, but Baba also did not have beads available to her there. As prophesized, Baba is at 60 stacks. Has 15 stacks left until that item is fully stacked in 3 minutes. It's always a high value item for her. Not really any way to go wrong. We do see the Osiris opt for an Oboe. He is just building the ADC build in the jungle. Very interesting. I'm actually, I wonder how Kittens with Mittens is going to handle all these Oboe procs going off in the fights, because that just sounds extremely irritating. It may not be the most optimal way, but if you want to get into your opponent's head, that might be a good way to do it. Fenrir and Athena setting up for the red buff invade. Nobody around on the side of Far Out to contest it, so it will be a free red buff for the Athena. Oh, she opts to not pick it up. Side of Far Out will get the Draugr in order to make their towers a bit stronger. Not too impactful at this point in the game. We do see Far Out actually having a gold lead still, even though XP leans into the favor of Kittens with Mittens. But Far Out doing a great job of staying in this game. Not really bothered by the first blood onto their jungler. Do you see a Fenrir incoming right, but he does seem to be going for the blue buff. Not really interested in killing the Cerberus. Osiris onto the Baba Yaga. We see the Odin Cage come out and right onto the Cerb, but he doesn't have any mana, so nothing should happen there. Baba House. Osiris might have gone a bit too hard. It looks like he's going to die to these Baba bolts. We do see Athena pick up the kill. Fenrir actually overextends on the right-hand side and does end up dying to the Mori, who rotated over. We just see the Izanami dash onto the Jingwei. We're likely to see a kill over here, one way or the other. Just kidding, there's a Jingwei in the game. Jingwei will ult away. Oh, but the pathing. Oh, if the Izanami dash comes up, the Izanami dash is not on cooldown, or is on cooldown for another 3 seconds, and we will see him survive. Mori and Cerb invading the blue buff. Odin tries to contest, but he's just out of mana this entire time. He's got no MP5 in his kit. We do see the Athena ult over, but unlikely for anything to happen. Izanami is tower diving for the kill into the Jingwei. Doesn't manage to get it. Doesn't force anything either. But she does just have the pressure to do that. Izanami able to clear super fast, able to do whatever she wants. Just get off insane amount of pressure. Luckily for the side of Far Out, Jingwei is able to fly back and not miss too much farm from being forced out by Izanami over and over again. It's not the end of the world. We do see the Jingwei opting into the crit build. We see Fenrir get his Jotuns online. Odin opting into the Bulwark, possibly going into a Breastplate or a Contagion. A little bit of damage coming onto this Fenrir. We might see him fall here. No leap available. He does try to ult to save himself, but it's not enough. And will fall from the Osiris damage. The Ikavul Oboe just outputting insane amount of attack speed. Able to just use that Ikavul damage to carry him. Far Out posturing towards the left side of the map. Might see a Gold Fury, but they opt not to. Odin is invading the blue. Will get it. And we just see the teams confirm their buffs. Go back to their farming. Bit of damage coming on a Baba. Will force her jump. Yamoja ult in the back line. Will just end this Athena, it looks like. We do see the Odin ult from the Mori come out, but he doesn't cage. Opting to hold it a bit too long. Would have been able to cage the Athena and kill them, but he opts not to use it. You see Raging Turtle fall. Athena ult coming back in. Able to swing this fight a bit more in KWM's favor. We do see Guzzie fall on the Morrigan. Might see Emoja fall, but no, Athena does not have the taunt available. Izanami is making her way over. Izanami level 14 in 13 minutes. Now it's 14, but she is farming very well. Highest level in the game. Hopefully we can see her rotate over and make some impact. Maybe go for a Gold Fury. I like to see them force the Gold Fury. This Jingwei Mori, they don't really want to walk into Gold Fury pit to contest. Mori hasn't really hit her power spike yet. She doesn't have her invis max. She can't just invis from anywhere, stun someone, and they just die, you know? And Jingwei doesn't really offer that presence around the Gold Fury that an Izanami Baba does. They just have so much damage. They have so much more damage at this point in the game. It'd be weird for them not to pull a Gold Fury, I feel. Or at least force a fight around it soon. Especially with this Odin offering this cage that really... That the Mori really struggles with and the Jingwei has to ult out of. Forcing that Jingwei ult makes her an easy target for this Fenrir. And for this Yamoja. Or not the Yamoja, the Athena. That just taunt and she just dies. But instead we do see the side of Far Out going for the Gold Fury. Athena is aware of the Gold Fury pool. Izanami's on her way. Can she force them off it? It looks like they're just going to try to steal it a bit early on the abilities. But we do see Far Out get the Gold Fury with... Or we see Far Out secure the Gold Fury. The Izanami and the Athena could not get the Gold Fury. And Athena is just going to get run out. Oh, Osiris ult does come into the back line, forcing the Izanami Aegis. Izanami does not have her dash up. It looks like she used it to get to the Gold Fury. She falls to the Oboe procs, and Athena will also fall to the Izanami ult out of Guzzie. 2 kills and a Gold Fury for Far Out. And the Scorpion will bring them right back into the lead with a 2k gold lead. You might even see this Odin fall if he's not careful. Stun comes out onto him. Umoja ult. They will force the they will force the cage, and all this attack speed of this Osiris is burned straight through that cage. The Mori Mark dealing insane damage to the Fenrir there. Supp ult forcing the Baba house. Fenrir will just jump away. And we see far out. They got everything they came for, and they just walk away. Izanami did have both of her relics for, so that forces her to play a little bit more passive in these upcoming fights. Far out also does get the Draugr. That's a pretty big swing for them. And Jingwei being able to come online, being able to be even with this Izanami, if not even a little bit ahead, allows her to be just as effective, if not more effective, with all of her stims and her ability to get in and out of the fight very quickly. Honestly, Nomad on the Osiris with this build is really shredding the enemy team. I'm not sure if they necessarily have an answer without the Baba ult, especially with David not necessarily being in that last fight, getting shredded out of it super early. I'm not sure if they can if there's anyone on the side of Kittens with Mittens who can out DPS this Osiris in like a raw 1-for-1 trade. They're gonna need to group on top of him and force him to die before that can happen. You see a pause come out. But that's one of the shortcomings of Athena is you pick Athena and now this Osiris. Well, he's looking at your backline like they're candy, because if Athena's dropping her taunt, the peel for the backline, then that's a win for you, right? You just beat and you keep going. And what other CC does this team have? Because at that point, they have to fend your ult you or cage you. This comp on the side of Kittens with Mittens is heavily lacking in the CC department. And when you're this Osiris with a Winged Blade, and the Odin maybe the Odin tries to peel you, and the Odin starts pulsing his 3, well, I'm just going to run down your carries even harder then. So they need to find a way to group up and kill this Osiris, who's just going to run a train on their backline. Because otherwise, even though this game is only 2k apart in gold, if they can't bring an answer to this Osiris, then that's going to shoot up to 3k, 4k, 5k. 10k after they get a fire giant, take all these towers, because every tower on the map is still available for the side of Far Out. There's still plenty of gold available on the map. So they sweep every tower, and they get FG, and that's like an 8k gold swing, along with the Pyro. And all of a sudden, you're looking at a game where you definitely can't kill this Osiris. And you can't deal with the Cerberus, so hopefully they're able to figure it out. The best thing you can do as KWM in this situation is, I think you need to force the Osiris to ult out. And you can do that, then maybe your backline can live a bit longer, and you're able to get out all this damage onto the Mori and the Jingwei. Because if you're shutting them down and allowing yourself to freak out in the fights, then you're in a really good position. This Mori is only level 13. He's not necessarily in the best position to be in these fights right now. She really wants to farm. All the leads mainly in the jungle and the solo lane. In fact, we can take a quick look at the net worth chart. We see jungle has an 800 gold lead. Solo has another 750 gold lead. Support with a small lead. ADC with a small lead. Mid with a minute lead in net worth, but a 2-level deficit in the XP department. Well, these guys are paused. Yeah, she did build an Emperor's armor. You're right, that is interesting. I guess she's building for the defenses. Emperor's armor is a pretty well-statted item, I feel. But it is awkward to build it in that second slot. You're kind of building it in the point of the game where you're not really fighting around your towers. No team's really ahead or that far ahead, so they're not diving towers. You're just fighting in and around, or you're fighting around them, right? Like if you're forcing them into towers around like the 10-minute mark, you're not necessarily diving yet. That's the point you're looking for an objective, and that's where something like the Sov can help, where it provides the Fizz D and the HP 5 to your team and gets them more involved. As we see Far Out pick up the pyro. I will be right back after I use the bathroom. Sorry for that interruption. I am back. In this last fight, we do see them able to take out Call Me Nomad. It seems like they got a 2-for-1 trade in the favor of KWM, swinging the game a bit back in their direction. Still a 1.5k gold lead for the side of Far Out. Right now, we see these teams both setting up for this Oni Fury. This Oni Fury offering a great opportunity, if Far Out is able to get it, to push down all these 1 HP towers. All these towers will pretty much guarantee to be taken by an Oni wave unless the Kittens and Mittens overextends to clear the waves. And that could also set up for a Fire Giant or just a siege on any one of these sides. Some extra gold in their pockets. We do see Far Out pulling the Gold Fury. Not DPSing it too fast, however. Only putting it down to 50% after about 10 seconds, but now the DPS picks up a bit more. They're dropping it as Kittens and Mittens shows presence, but Fenrir is not on the side of the map. See if Far Out notices this and takes the fight. They do see the side of Far Out pathing over to the mid. Some damage comes onto the Bob, but the tether's not disconnected. Athena ult and Baba Yaga ult forced to get the Osiris off of her. And we see Far Out go straight back to the Gold Fury, knowing these two ults are down. Yamoja taking a lot of damage to the Gold Fury, though. They need more people there to DPS it, or this Yamoja is going to take a massive hit. Fenrir opting to split push the right-hand side. But Far Out still not necessarily taking this fight, playing it very slow. They need to just pull this with 2 people off the map, but this Emoja can't pull it. It needs to be the Cerberus or this Osiris. The Emoja not in the position to tank this. If she gets Odin Gate, she's just going to die. They need someone else to tank this. Monkey Deal or Raging Turtle is getting insanely far ahead in the jungle, just clearing everything. And now he's going to come into this fight level 18. And that's not really what you want to deal with. With 2-man taunt onto the Osiris and the Cerberus. Some damage onto the Osiris. But he ults in onto the Izanami. onto the Izanami. Odin cages Guzzie, and Guzzie turns into Izanami and ults out. The Fenrir ult connecting onto the Osiris. Osiris will fall. canonKai falls. Jordan a bit overextended, but so is Fenrir. Fenrir will fall. Jordan gets out, 50% HP. Baba with another house. Big damage from the Odin, but it's not enough. Nobody's going to fall. And they'll just walk back to the Gold Fury. Jingwei, the only one really healthy, but they do have this Yamoja healing on their side. Now it's up to this Odin to see if he can steal it. They need the Jingwei to tank this, I feel. Or the Mori. We do see Far Out get the Oni Fury, and this could be a big opportunity for them. If you don't see the Odin fall, you will get out unscathed. In terms of items, we see this Athena opt into the Relic Dagger. This is a really awkward build out of this Athena. I think it offers her tankiness. But if you're going to go the Emperor's Armor against a triple magical team comp, you want to go much later in the build. Right now, she's super susceptible to this magic damage, especially with this Serb 2, shredding 54 of her prots. This Athena's probably only sitting around 120. Yeah, she's sitting at 127, so this Serb, whenever he 2s her, is shredding half her prots, and if you're a support walker out with 60 magical prots, you just can't have that. You're gonna get forced out of the fight, and you are Athena, yes, you can ult back in. But this Relic Dagger is not doing you much good when you don't have your blink. You can't, you're not engaging these fights, right? You're looking for your Odin or your Fenrir to engage these fights. So I just don't see where this Athena is going with this build. Maybe if she had a blink and they were on the attacking side, and so she can blink into towers, like all off cooldown and get relics, and the tower just doesn't really punish her. Like maybe she gets the Emoji walled into her tower, right? But if she has the Emp armor, that's not really a problem. But when she's on the back foot, right? I don't think the Emperor's armor does anything for her in this situation. Not on Athena. If she was the Emoja, then maybe it would make more sense. You see the Fenrir being able to pull the Osiris straight into his team. The Osiris will get bursted because he does not have the beads available. Far Out no longer able to pull this Fire Giant. We do see the Blink Cage out of llVascll. Does get the Jingwei dash and the Jingwei ult. Guzzie will transform into the Izanami, but gets melted. Not able to stay alive. Oh, we'll stay alive a bit longer, a bit longer. Still alive. Nobody's able to finish him off. Odin overestimating the jump. Jumps too far. And now we see this Jingwei laying into this Fenrir and this Athena with his autos, his elbow procs. Jordan Reed just trying to clear out the waves, running them away, wasting their time, but they will catch him, it looks like. But it looks like he's stalled enough to where they cannot pull the Fire Giant. In fact, it looks like he's going to get away unscathed. Completely unscathed, basically full HP. We see the Athena dash onto the Jingwei. Jingwei with the beads available, but opts not to use them is fine. 60% HP. A common theme. Something you'll always see with carries is they just don't know how to use their relics. That's no slander on the IAfroI. Obviously, he's alive. We do see Guzzie fall to the Fenrir, brutalize the Fenrir, dealing an insane amount of damage. But Jordan hitting him right back with that damage. Jordan stuck on the silence, is not able to leap or anything, and just falls to the Baba and Izanami damage output. And now we're likely looking at a Fire Giant call from Kittens with Mittens. They are going to reset and path back to the fire, it looks like, in order to pull it. A smart play. They have plenty of time before Jordan's up. Guzzie has 15 seconds. We do see the taunt onto the Jingwei. She's stuck in the cage, but there's no damage output here to actually put onto the Jingwei, so she's going to walk away unscathed. Odin cage is used. Osiris in the backline, however, is shredding this Baba Yaga. Baba Aegis used, Baba ult used. But now Osiris out of position, still has his ult available if he needs to ult out. But Jingwei is getting melted by the Witchfire out of the Baba cabin. Osiris ults in, looking for the final blow on the Fenrir, but doesn't find it. Fenrir is just a bit too tanky, and Osiris will also fall. Now there's 3 down on the side of Far Out. Fenrir has to reset, but this is likely to be a free fire unless Guzzie can pull a miracle play. Now all of a sudden this game has really swapped tides. We do see the Baba Yaga transformation. Likely to throw some Witchfire on this Fire Giant to look for the steal. Kittens with Mittens does secure the Fire Giant. Witchfire just not enough burst damage. No real secure ults in this game. The highest damage alt maybe being the Lord of the Afterlife from Osiris, dealing 630 damage, I believe. But if you're transforming into Osiris and ulting into a fire giant pit, you're just accepting your death. And now KWM is side with fire. All 3 tier 2s available. Gold Fury coming up. We'll see what they choose to do. It looks like they're heading over to the duo lane side of the map in order to strip farm. And to get this Gold Fury and this Draugr before Far Out can secure in order to strengthen their towers. 3 Spectrals coming out from the side of Far Out. I think this Osiris build is working in the early game, but now it's kind of a hindrance. This Osiris is just not able to take the hits that he needs to. And he is not dealing the damage fast enough in order to justify the build. Whereas we see this Fenrir able to get a lot of value out of this Boomba's hammer with the cooldown resets now. And he's just offering a lot more with his ult, able to start off that fight by getting to pick on the Osiris. It was a very long fight, but he was able to basically swing the tide of this game with the Ragnarok. Now this game's all in KWM favor. Able to secure the Primal Fury and head straight to this left T2. Only Emojis available to defend it, so it looks like Far Out will be giving this tower up. Emoja taunted and cage. It looks like they want more than just this tower. They want to be able to push for the Phoenix. Emoja Phantom is used, but she will Riptide away and away and away and away, and Emoja will live. Ragnarok and the Odin cage used. We see the Osiris blink in. Maybe a misinput, as he will just walk away with it. Misinput, maybe a bit of miscommunication. Maybe he thought his team was going to follow him up a bit more there. They were yelling at him, no, you can't go in there. And he's like, all right, I'm turning around. I wanted to make a sick play, you know, but you guys are telling me no. And we'll just see them give up the second T2 in mid lane. And Mittens will walk over to this right side. My dogs are also very interested in this game. You see this last T2 fall on the side of Far Out. And they seem to be mixed up on this call. Izanami wants to fall back into the Pyro, but everybody else on the side of Kittens wants to see just Phoenix. Jingwei being on the left-hand side. It looks like in the end they've decided to see just Phoenix, maybe a bit too late. We do see the blink ult from the Fenrir come out onto the Cerberus. Cerberus does opt to use the beads. Athena taunt lands on the Emoja, but Emoja able to throw up the walls in order to save herself. We do see a lot of damage coming out with this Baba ult. Emoja probably being forced back to base. Osiris 50% HP, 40% HP. The beats forced. Osiris will walk out. And it looks like the side of Kittens Mittens can no longer siege, as they have this Emoja healing on the back of the side of Far Out. So they will just back up and pull the Pyro and strip the jungle farm. But Kittens with Mittens able to turn it from a 2k gold deficit to a 6k or 5k gold lead. So definitely a win on their side. Every tower force now they can look to ward around and set up for this next fire giant and make a push for a bird. On their end, they probably want to push for duo-side bird unless they see that solo-side bird is undefended when they take the fire giant. So we'll see what kind of call they make. I'd like to see healing done, because on the side of Far Out, the Emoja has done 7.4k healing. I don't know. I feel like on the side of Far Out, it's just their damage isn't very concentrated. And I feel like this Osiris, I think he did a better job in that last fight. He was able to zone them off. He didn't die. He did have his beats forced, but it felt like they were a bit disjointed in Kittens with Mittens. They weren't able to follow up on the Odin cage and the Fenrir ult, because the carries were all being zoned out by the Osiris. So for a fire giant fight, I feel like that's a win. But now you see that your Osiris has no beads and he just gets Ragnaroked, and now he's dead. And that's more the line I was leaning, where this Osiris needs to find a way to stay alive in these fights for Far Out to have any chance. And you see the Fenrir jump onto the Mori. She's not able to invis because of a Crusher proc. She will ult. She will turn into Baba Yaga, but the beads aren't available. No damage coming off the Athena taunt. She will live. He will get off the house and throw some damage in. A lot of damage onto the Fenrir. It looks like the Fenrir might fall. Fenrir falling to an oboe proc. The Witchfire comes out, but it's not enough. Jordan Reed will fall. Mori's looking like she'll also fall. The Baba one off the mark. Izanami actually dying to the Jingwei on the other side of the fight. But we do see them jump at the Jingwei. Baba Yaga, though, not in the position. She jumped out. She's not providing damage to this fight. Afro, Jesus, doing so much damage. Both actives and ults still available. This man has not used an active all game that I've seen, and he is still able to do whatever he wants in these fights. It's incredible. They need to find a way to deal with this Jingwei. I don't think you can go through multiple team fights and not have these relics forced. How are you supposed to kill this Jingwei if you're not getting her relics? Or you're not Odin caging her? But this Jingwei is putting on a show and keeping far out in this game. Along with Jordan with the beautiful Cerberus ult in that last fight. All 5 members of Kittens with Mittens have beads. I'm not sure if they maybe didn't have them up. But nobody opting to use beads when hit by the Cerberus ult. We do all 3 get pulled. The Raging Turtle dies. I feel like that fight should have gone better for Far Out. Luckily, Afro able to turn it around and get some good picks to keep them in this game. Starters starting to get finished off. We have the Hidden Blade, the Blood Soaked, the Hunter's Cowl. Hunter's Cowl on both sides. The Sundering Axe for the Odin. And Boomba's Hammer for the Fenrir. As already stated, I'd like to see this Odin be throwing out spears, able to poke them down. Forces Yamoja to use some of her Omi. And now we're at this point where Morrigan is kind of a menace. If Guzzie's able to get a pick off to start a fight on this Izanami or this Baba, this game might change pace fast. We do see them going for this Fire Giant. Yamoja ult takes them off of it. The dive straight onto the Jingwei. Both of her actives were still in the Fenrir ult. Nobody on Far Out taking any damage though. They've dived too hard for the Jingwei now. They've overcommitted. And now they're at a point where everybody on Far Out is still full HP and they're running them down. Athena's likely to fall here. Baba house forced already. Jingwei going to fall. Doesn't matter. Baba's 40%. Osiris maybe went a bit too hard as well. Odin will be able to pick up this kill with a mystical. 2-for-2 trade. These fights are just unclean. Afro going a bit too hard there after he already had both of his actives forced, dashing straight into the enemy team. And now he's not able to output the damage he's been doing in every other fight. And once his damage is gone, the team fight from Far Out kind of crumbles. Mori being a lot of burst damage. But she doesn't offer much burst damage against the comp of Kittens with Mittens. Not many people on that team she can one-shot. It's basically the Izanami or nobody. And Izanami, like Jingwei, has not really been having her actives forced all that much. The last item, Pridwin coming out of the Emoja. canonKai opting to sell the Relic Dagger for a different item. It looks like he's swapping through them, but in the end, he will decide to go with the Genji's Guard in order to get more taunts. Kittens with Mittens, the Izanami does solo the Oni Fury. That'll provide them a bit of pressure on these Fire Giant fights. This Athena build is kind of awkward from a support standpoint. It looks much more like a solo build with just a Thebes thrown in there. But when she does have the gold available, she will be able to back and buy her Sentinel's Embrace or her Sentinel's Boon, whichever she chooses. Will be somewhat soon. I'd like to see a Pridwin in place of this Emperor's Armor, I think, in order to offer her with more cooldown. But Athena's kind of a one-trick pony where all she offers is that taunt, and when you're not getting that taunt, I don't know what you're doing on Athena other than ulting. Odin not available for this fight. Fenrir doing the Scorpion. It looks like they haven't really noticed that Far Out is on AFG. It's half HP. Will they commit? It looks like Afro Jesus is committed to pulling this Fire Giant. Far Out will just secure the fire right in the face of KWM. Raging Turtle falls. They just pulled the Fire Giant right in front of them, and nobody ever really stopped against it. They said, you know what? You can have it. We don't need the Fire Giant anyway. We'll win the fight after, but clearly that was not the case. As we see Raging Turtle fall, we see Far Out go to run them down a bit. But they decide to back up. I don't like that call. I think with the Fenrir down and the emoji healing, I think you can keep going. But it looks like they want to back and finish their starter items. As we see Guzzie finish the Gem of Focus, and we don't see Yamoja get the Sentinel's Embrace yet. She does not have the gold. But Ah, the Oni waves, that's what it was. But we do see them reset, and they're likely to make a push to clear these towers now. And we will see, likely in this siege, the winner of this game, I'd imagine. I think if we see the common theme of Fenrir jumping in and getting the bite on this Osiris, and Osiris falls to start the fight, all of a sudden it's a 5v4. Then Kittens and Mittens gets a successful defense, and we're looking at a game that can easily swing with being almost 40 minutes in. These respawn timers are massive, but instead we see Osiris split push. And I really like that, because I don't think the Fenrir can necessarily solo this Osiris. And I'm not sure if anybody can solo the Osiris, but I imagine it takes a really long time, and I think forcing someone out of the fight with the Osiris is a really good call. Because I think picking the Osiris is what the side of KW wants to do, and if they're not available to pick the Osiris, then they're in an awkward position. But it looks like they will end up in the end grouping 5-man. And now they have 20 seconds to kill this Osiris without beads. And if they don't kill the Osiris in this 20 seconds, I'm not sure how this fight happens. We do see the 2-man Supp ult forcing the beads, but Jordan and Osiris getting shredded by this Izanami, but Afro is able to shred the Izanami straight through the Emoja walls, not able to retaliate. Nomad a bit low. But they still have this Emoja healing on their back. Never got to see this Emoja healing again. There's no way she's not at least 12k. 11.8. You see the double taunt come out, but there's just no follow-up at this point. The Izanami is gone. The Baba house down. Baba potions. One maybe enough, but not close enough to follow up. We're likely to see all 3 Phoenixes fall, I imagine, for the side of Kittens and Mittens. Athena ult still up, but Athena ult not much of a use in this scenario. Afro still has Aegis and ult available in order to self-peel. Fenrir looking like he wants to go in, maybe, being told otherwise. And then we will see all 3 birds fall, and looks like they will reset. So Far Out able to swing this game as quick as Kittens and Mittens did earlier. And now we're right back even in gold, but Far Out has all 3 birds down. And this is looking rough for Kittens and Mittens. At this point, they're looking to make a Hail Mary play, or we see David JLD get some insane value out of Izanami passive being the autos that go through players. If this Izanami is able to really shred out these tanks like he was doing last fight to stay alive while doing it. Neither relic used out of the Izanami. I guess he got crit like twice and wasn't expecting it. Bursted down by this Jingwei. But if we're able to see this Izanami just get through this fight, if we're able to see this Izanami get through this fight and offer like all the damage that she can, then we may be looking at a different game. But I'm not so sure how they're gonna get that done with these 3 fire waves pushing down every lane. Any attempt to defend an EFG at this point leaves their Titan at risk. Because Athena, while she has that global ult, isn't really able to clear these fire waves without a damage build. It looks like they are just hard committing to defending the fire, thinking they have no other choice. We will see the Athena back. I'm not sure I like that, because I think she's going to have to use all of her abilities in order to defend a fire wave, and then she ults in and she has nothing. But we do see her ult straight back, wasting the cooldown of the defender of Olympus. Now things are looking real rough for Kittens with Mittens. Both supports do finally finish off their Sentinel's Embrace. This fire is being destroyed by Far Out. We do see the Izanami come out in order to offer even more DPS. Absolutely shredded on the side of Far Out, but this Osiris falls to the damage in the backline. Opting not to use his beads. I'm assuming he got Athena taunted. We do see the Athena stuck in the Emoja ult. The River's Rebuke comes out. He's fine, though. Odin up downs. Some damage thrown onto him, but it's not enough. Jingwei half HP. We do see the Cerberus and the Jingwei trying to get out. Odin jumping in. Does not find anything. Got Fire Giant off the Osiris. All their Phoenixes are respawning soon. We may be able to see a fighting chance out of Kittens with Mittens yet. And yes, you're right. There is 3 Spectrals, but Izanami does not have her crit anymore. I think she went 1 item into it. They all built Spectral, and she said, "Nah, I'm gonna nope out of that one, fam." Yes, I am not a fan of the Osiris build. I don't think the Winged Blade offers much for him. I don't think they have enough slows. Their main slows being the Odin 3 and the Izanami 2. Obviously, they have more slows. They have the Athena Dash slow. They have Baba 2 slow. They have the Baba 1 slow. But I think the slows aren't really peeling an Osiris off of you. And I don't really feel like he's offering enough damage to justify Osiris being more of like a poke god, and then he ults in when like your entire team's half HP, and now you can't deal with him because, you know, you're half, he's Osiris. He's got all these mitigations. It's tether. He's reducing your damage by like 50%. Odin opting for the 3k damage pot instead of the 3k defense pot. I'm guessing he's already close to cap at 300 FizzD. I still don't like that. The 3k defense pot offering the CCR and the mitigations, even though he's capped CCR. I don't think he gets anything. I don't think he's getting extra damage out of this. Enough to justify it. See the Serb Blink. Missing ult on the Iza, but we do see the Odin beads. Odin Cage coming out. Transformation into the Baba Yaga. Odin getting burned, but doesn't fall. Odin being so tanky. We do see all ults except Jingwei ult come out from the side of Far Out. Izanami will fall. Fenrir bringing the Jingwei back into the Titan pit, but it's no use. The Titan's already falling to fire minions from the dual lane side of the map, and we do see the Titan fall 44-32. The side of Far Out, able to pull this game back together and end the game. On the back of Afro. Man, 46k damage on Jingwei. No one else on his team really even coming close. Incredible. Incredible performance out of the Jingwei. Love to see it. canonKai dropped 36 wards without a bracer. That's also incredible. And I'm going to take this opportunity to reset my game. But in terms of that game, I think what you're looking at is you just can't let a Jingwei cast like that. I think that this Odin needs to have more intrusive cages, if that's the word. Jingwei in those past 3 fights, or in the last 3 fights of that game, I don't think she ever ulted. I think Jingwei was super safe, and I don't think it necessarily because Afro was playing safe. I just think he didn't have pressure put onto him by anyone on the other team. Jordan and the Umoja doing a great job of creating space. Umoja ult. It doesn't matter how you use it. Aggressively, defensively, those walls going up are always going to force you to not be able to hit someone. The Izanami can't auto through the cage. It's just a pain. I'd like to see the Umoja banned. It offers too much safety to the carries. Never a fan of seeing it. Never want to see it unless it's on my team. Annoying God, you don't need to know how to play it. Get rid of Umoja. That's my take on that game. Time to go back in and end this whole reset picks and bans. Far Out has won in game 1. Yeah, KW, No, Far Out had 3 spectrals, if I remember correctly. Far Out has 1. Because Far Out had 3 spectrals, even though the Izanami is still the crit, so there's no crit on the other side for KWM. Yeah, honestly, I didn't hate the draft from KWM. I just think their lack of CC with their front line of Odin, Athena, their only like lockdown being the wall, and this Athena taunt, I feel like they didn't have the CC really do anything with. I don't know. I feel like the side of Far Out is able to get insane value out of their beads because they only have like 1 or 2 things to beads. They've got the Fenrir ult and the Athena taunt, and this the Fenrir's chain ulting the Osiris, right, and he's getting value out of it. But this backline is able to do whatever she wants. And yes, I agree. I also think the Athena should have had at least 30% CCR. I would have loved to see CDR. I would have loved to see the Pridwin over the Emperor's armor. I don't really think the Emperor's armor did anything. We'll see a little break for the side of Far Out using and going to the bathroom. So we've got a bit of time to sit here and digest that game. Man, Afro. Really, in my opinion, if we're just looking at game 1, Afro is definitely MVP of that game. The amount of damage he was able to output on that Jingwei was absolutely insane. He never seemed scared, even from the beginning when he was getting Athena taunted, saving his relics. I'm not sure if that was just out of not wanting to use relics, but he always had his relics primed and ready. And even still, he was able to do whatever he wanted on that Jingwei pick, except that one time where like, he dashed into the Odin and just died to the Odin 3, which makes sense. But I could understand if he was feeling himself a bit at that point. I'd be sitting there like, guys, I'm critting these tanks for 300. I'm critting their carries for 700. I'm getting in there, and he just goes in and dies. He's like, all right, I'll stop trolling now. All right, I'm getting a bit out of hand. From what I see, we may also see motion in this second game, maybe. It depends on whether they decide to just rock with the same roster or not. Yeah, I will return when we see this second game start. I need to do some other things in between. In the meantime, while we wait, Valhalla League Channel 1 should be active. Let's see. Yep, Channel 1 is active with Kittens with Mittens TD versus Going Ghost TD. A pretty hype game for the Thor division. Going Ghost being top of the standings. Yes, Going Ghost is tied with Skogs. Kitten with Mittens close to the bottom, but have been rising up lately. With their new Alright, I got pinged. With their new acquisition in terms of llVascll in support. I believe they also got a new ADC recently. I don't have the rosters page still open, but I'm pretty sure someone else still got something. Or I'm pretty sure they still got something else new. Between Polydeuces and Polydeuces. I'm looking at community chat. My apologies. Between Bastende, llVascll, and everybody else that team has, they've been able to really pick up their slack. Come out on a 3-game winning streak. I believe it's also Boomhev in the carry role. That's not new. Beyond Hawkeye in the jungle is their newest member, I'm pretty sure, besides Ducky. And in the solo lane, they have... I really need to open the roster page for that one. That's the schedule. In the solo lane, they have Token Billy with Nyx as a sub. Yeah, very interesting team to watch at the moment. In fact, I'm going to hop in and check how that game is going. I'm also going to see how SPL is going, because I am missing that right now. In case any of you are also not watching SPL, it's 2-0, Titans in the lead. Leviathan has been struggling a bit. Yeah, just waiting for them to get started. It looks like Nomad will be replaced by Motion. Yeah, I agree. It was there were some pretty awkward swings in that game. Just neither team really able to get a firm grasp on that game. I really thought KWM would have it, but they just lost the fire and just really struggled to get back into the game after that. It was a weird one. For the Kansas men's going ghost game, we do see Outsurge in the jungle instead of Hawkeye. Struggling a bit to get in the groove of things, but it looks like they have just had a successful Phoenix defense, able to pick off Mini and Jolly. The two-man army are just walking around and doing whatever they want to this team, it looks like. Jolly didn't even opt for a starter. He just sold it. He's got a 6-item build going. Hopefully we can see them hop into this game soon. I'd hate to see a forfeit. It's already been like 13 minutes. So, like I said, now we do have KW versus Going Ghost Thor Division on the first channel right now. Otherwise, after that today, going into 5 p.m., we will have Backup Punch Thor Division versus Feeding Frenzy Thor Division on this channel. And we'll have Overlords versus Ice Age on channel 1. With Freaky and Davey on the cast. We'll have Desto and Scoping on the cast for Pack a Punch versus Feeding Frenzy. And going into 7:30, it will be 2 Thor games, which is Far Out. So if you're here and you're a Far Out fan, we've got another game to watch. And you'll also have Far Out versus Ice Age Thor Division. And we will have Trash Pandas Thor Division versus Olympians Thor Division. So, all pretty interesting games to watch. Most of them, I believe, have some implications for the standings. This one, I believe, does not, unless some other teams lose their games. But just outright, it doesn't really. Yeah, hopefully we're able to see some fun games today. Yeah, sadly no Loki games for 7:30. Honestly, the poor rat players. I don't think they had a game cast in the last 2 weeks. Very unfortunate. I'm guessing standings are pretty set in stone for rat though. I believe Ice Age Loki Division versus Olympians Thor Division might have been getting casted, but they rescheduled. Same with Skogs versus Far Out. That was originally going to be casted instead of Overlords versus Ice Age. But that game also got rescheduled. Yeah, Rat's not getting their games casted, unfortunately. Don't blame me, blame Phoenix. Looks like they're sitting in a lobby. I don't really know what's going on right now. Yeah. Fresh Panda's Loki division unfortunately had some unsavory individuals in their bunch. And they weren't interested in dropping particular issues, so instead they pushed it until they just got banned, and very unfortunate. Bans dropped. I believe reporter support and what's his face? Whoever their Fragger ADC was, both got dropped. Let's see. Miyatsu got dropped. Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but I mean, between between all the issues on that team, they couldn't really control their team, and at the end of the day, that just it'll mess you up a bit. Not much else to say about it. We do see Far Out returning to the first pick slot. Give me a moment. See a pretty quick set of bans. I'm doing my absolute best. Oh lord. We see Raijin, Tiamat, Gilgagoosh, Persephone, Artemis. If I recall correctly, there's not a single new ban here. See, oh, this is definitely a new ban, because I would have noticed this if it happened around the first time. We seen a wheel ban coming out from the side of Kittens with Mittens. The normal jungler motion in. I can throw this up now. With the normal jungler motion in, I guess he is an Wheelix player, an Wheelix connoisseur. We do see Far Out going right back to the Osiris first pick. I am very curious as to if they're gonna throw this right back in the jungle just in motion stance, because I actually don't think I've ever seen Jordan play a non-Guardian. Personally, every time I've ever seen a Far Out Loki division set, I always see him on Cthulhu. But Cthulhu being comp banned right now does not do very well for his god pool. And we see KWM answer right back with Cerberus and the Odin.
Otis.
Cthulhu is comp banned because when he ults, there's a bug where afterwards he's invis and he can like spam all of his abilities, and it's really weird and buggy, and he just starts spamming his dash, and it's super OP and very annoying. Yeah, I'm not saying he only plays Cthulhu, but I mean it as in I've only ever seen him on a Guardian. So I don't expect him to ever take this Osiris. He's just not the person I would expect to see in an Osiris. We do see them block the emoji again. Yeah, I'd say it's fairly certain that this Osiris is in the jungle for the side of Far Out. And last but not least, in the first phase, we see the Scylla locked in for Monkey Dealer instead of the Yaga. In terms of bans here, what I expect, we may see the Mori ban out of the side of KWM. Instead, we see the Sobek ban. That's the picks. They do not pick Sobek. They ban Sobek. The Far Out still looking for solo and a mid laner. And the side of Kittens and Mittens looking for an ADC and a jungler. They do ban out Ardio on this side. Ignore the fact that I did that wrong because Izanami's gone on this end. Waiting for a last ban on the side of Far Out. We're likely to see this Cerberus in support. Cerberus in support, not as oppressive as Cerberus in solo. I think we might see a lot of the same issues we saw with that Athena, where they don't have that instant on-demand CC. Cerb does have the stun in the slow. Without hitting like a big team fight ult, I feel like he may struggle to lock people down, especially with the stun being somewhat difficult to hit. Not always the most reliable CC. We do see the Geb come out, so it's likely to be an Odin jungle, actually. So now I could take back what I said, because between Geb and Cerb, You have two very big team fight ults that are very disruptive and have a lot of lockdown. And this Scylla, they are relying a lot on this Scylla. I'll give them that. The Monkey Dealer on this Scylla is going to need to output a crazy amount of damage, but if he's able to do it, then this could be crazy. We do see the accidental dodge from someone on the side of Far Out. Yorm was hovered. I'm just going to assume they went with that. I'm going to hop back in the spectate. And we'll try to get right back into this lobby. I also would have liked to see a support that offers more CC and then roamable abilities, but Geb does offer a lot of peel with the shield and the knock-up, and then able to get that big team fight ult with the percent health damage. And hopefully able to burst someone through that with between the Geb damage and the Scylla. I do like this draft more than the last draft. Definitely, 100%. Lucky obviously whispering in the ear of his Loki team, telling them that Geb is the best support in the game. Like, you can't argue with the results. This is surprisingly enough, I have seen Geb win more games than I've ever thought. Because I just assume that Geb's always going to lose, because I think that god sucks. But I don't know. You can't argue when you're looking at a god and you see it win, and then you look at a god like, I don't know, Osiris. And Osiris has like a 10% win rate across like Thor and Odin division. Maybe not that low. Thank you, Arcanine. Yes, Geb does lean them a bit more towards the passive side. However, I think with this Jing Wei, they might be able to afford it. However, Izanami's down on the board, so if Kittens with Mittens wants to get that pressure in the dual lane, they're going to have to look for the Rama, as Emoja does just kind of solo offer pressure sometimes. We'll see what they opt for when we get back into this game. I think specifically in support, the ult's gonna be insane. I think they definitely knew what they were doing because they didn't give it scaling. They knew that if they gave Geb ult scaling, it'd be broken, and that people would be building damage Geb and just one-shotting people with the ult too. You wouldn't even have to one probably. You could just use it to escape. I think it has potential, but I think Geb in general is just so weird. Someone didn't select a god, so they ran out of bank time. And the lobby got reset, so we're waiting for them to hop back into lobby. Just waiting. I want to know who the troll is so I can out them on stream. But nobody's responded to me yet. So, just waiting for them to hop back in the lobby. Yeah, Gebalt having base damage. Granted, it's not as bad because Gebalt already did damage. The thing I'm waiting for in Smite is when they just suck it up and give Erlang taunt damage, which is something they should never do. But imagine Erlang taunt, like Erlang blink taunts you and it just hits you for like 800 damage and you just get 2 knock up and you die. I want an excuse to build Bluestone on Erlang. I want to build full power, get a corrupted Bluestone, and just murder people with my abilities, and then just be walking around 2.0 attack speed with no attack speed items. It'd be so broken, but it'd be so funny, and there's enough broken stuff in this game already to where it probably wouldn't even compare. There's a lot of things they could do to this game at this point where it just wouldn't make it broken. They could give Bologna Bludgeon release scaling, and it wouldn't matter because there's so much CC in this game at this point that there'd be enough to there'd be enough to deal with it. What else could they do that would be really incredibly, like, you look at it on paper and be like, man, that's gonna break the game, and it just wouldn't, you know? Who could they give haste back? They should give Cabra his ult back to where he used to take 6 hits to break. That'd be a time to be alive. I remember when Disco ult was flying around at 150 units a second. When Disco ult was like unmissable. And it would go everywhere around the jungle, around the map. And I've been saying for a while that llPosh should have like a 5-second cooldown on his 2. Because llPosh just doesn't do damage if his 2 isn't up. That god can't do anything without his second ability. And it only works with his other abilities. So they should just make his 2 a lower cooldown. There's no reason for that ability to be on an 8-second cooldown. It does 100 damage. Like by itself. I've got great news for you guys. To round off these drafts, we see a Baba Yaga. And we see a Hu Yi.
Ho Yi.
Now I know I've been sitting here for a very long time. I don't like this Hu Yi pick at all. Not a fan. Not a fan of Hu Yi. I also agree that when people get killed by Pwash, they should drop a corpse, but it would be like the most non-impactful change ever. It would just be mainly an aesthetic change. Pwash kills dropping a corpse would do nothing for the character. He just needs to be more versatile. He's one of those gods where you have to use all 3 of your abilities together always, right? You always have to use your 1, 2, and 3 together, because if you use your 1 and your 2 without your 3, you can't blow up the corpse on your 3. Or if you use your 3 and your 2 together, and you can't blow up the corpse anymore, and it just feels super bad. You're not full kitting people. Granted, I do think llPosh is not nearly as bad as people are making him out to be. I feel like llPosh in this Emoja meta should be performing pretty well, and we actually play it on my Odin team. I feel like it does well fairly often when we play it. Always love having the Pwash on the team when there's the Emoja on the other side. What happened in game 1 is a bit of a swing fest, but in the end we saw Far Out come out on top. And right now we're hopping into game number 2. In terms of starts, this time we see both mids opting for the Conduit Gem. Go Vampiric Shroud in this mid lane. We do see both solo laners opt for the Vampiric Shroud, both playing the Guardians. Osiris with the Mannequins, we see Odin's going for the Boomba's Hammer, and if he hits level 20, that is going to be a menace of a character. Boomba's Hammer, Odin, having such low cooldowns that he can basically have 100% uptime on his shield and every other ability, and it's super frustrating to face. What I want to see out of the side of Far Out is this Yorm Osiris should be everywhere on that solo side jungle. Yorm Osiris basically being able to 2v2 the side of Serb Odin at any time that isn't like level 20. So I'd like to see them be able to do that. But off to another game. We do see both solo laners use their blink to get to the waves. Pretty normal on Guardians. Here takes forever. Not really a big deal since there's 2 Guardians. Not like I ever expect to see a kill in that lane. If somebody dies in that lane, then we can put the other person at the bottom of the tier list. I expect nothing out of that lane. We do see Odin rushing the Blackthorn Hammer, I believe. Offering 40 power at 2200 gold. 40 power and 400 health. Maybe an early rotation onto the side of Kittens with Mittens. But instead they turn around to put a lot of damage onto the Odin. So he will just walk away. Or leap away, rather. With his life. As they'll blink. No beats forced. Odin already out of mana. One of the few issues with this god, his 3 costing 70 mana just puts him in such an awkward spot when it comes to clearing camps and clearing waves. He doesn't have that blue buff. He kind of suffers a bit. But we'll see how he makes it work. He does invade the enemy back, so we see Osiris on the left side of the map. A failed gank. Came in a bit too low. Showed himself off. Said, "Hi guys, what's up?" Frostfang's here, and just walks back away. Through the oracles he goes. Oh yeah, Moja 3. Not sure what for. That bubble might have done negative damage to that Hui. We do see a gank coming onto Jordan. Not a solo, but he does die fairly early. But first blood this game coming out a lot sooner and onto the Odin. Still onto Raging Turtle, in fact. Raging Turtle pulling out first blood in both of these games. Do see this Hui taking an awkward flank. Does miss the ricochet. And we'll just be jumping out. Bit of an awkward event, but neither team really punished for it. So we stay farming. Once again, we also see a mid lane where, unlike the solo lane, I don't expect to see any solo kills in this lane. Both these mid laners, maybe not the worst clear in the world, but like they have to use their abilities to, they have to use their primary poke abilities to clear as well. They're not very likely to hit the other gods with them unless Baba gets a Y. And at that point, after they've cleared, they don't really offer much to a fight other than their ult. So we're likely to see most of the aggression come out of the junglers, and considering this time one of the junglers is an Odin, even with first blood, I don't expect much aggression in this mid lane. In fact, now that I look around the map, I don't expect to see aggression anywhere. Unless this Odin gets popping. The Odin or Osiris have to be fed for this to not be a 40-minute game. I don't see this game going any shorter than 30. Joe, it's just me, Bob. I am casting and spectating. I'm just vibing right now. You see Odin looking for a bit of pressure. A bit stuck between a rock and a hard place, but his tether does cancel out the Odin spear. Does allow him to not get stunned, to not eat the Scylla Crush either, and he will just walk away completely full HP. Not really any danger. We see Jingwei going over the left-hand side. Geb poking out this... Or Osiris poking out this Geb a bit. Geb will just roll away. Baba ult forced by the Odin cage. But otherwise, going back to a slow burn. We do see the blink also used for the Odin. I'm also not a fan of Hui passive. It's just not effective against crit. Hui passive usually argued as one of the worst passives in the game because when crit's not in meta, it does literally nothing, and then when crit is in meta, I feel like you're an ADC, right? So usually when you get crit once, you just die for it. Because one crit as an ADC late game is like 800 damage onto you. And if you eat that and you're a Hui, it's only going to take 2 more autos to kill you anyway. So not the best look. The Hui passive never really coming in clutch. You do see the gank onto the Jingwei by the Geb. Jingwei out of mana, will just walk away as Geb ult is not just killing people yet. So don't see anything there. I'll call it out every time this game when I think a Geb ult should have killed someone next patch. But so far, there's a bit of passiveness out of both teams. Neither team really in any rush. Both teams have a pretty good late game fight, but really what you're looking at when it comes down to this late game fight is, can this Yorm do what he wants? Because Yorm might not necessarily provide the same value in a fight that a Cerberus will in the late game. So we're looking to see if he's able to get his value with his World Serpent. Because if he's able to knock up 2 or 3 people consecutively, well, then he might be able to get the continued presence and disruption that Yorm is looking for. But once his ult is down, he does not provide as much as a Serb does, so they're looking to get these fights done fast. We do see a gank onto the Jingwei. Odin not able to find it. We do see the Baba ult and the Emoji ult come out in the mid lane. Onto this Geb. Geb still has the ult available. It looks like he doesn't have the rollout available. Looks like he may die here. He does ult, but it's a bit too early. The tether still stuns him. Emoji stun coming out, and it's looking like the Geb will fall to the Baba auto. Cereb's over here. It doesn't look like there's much left he can do. Osiris maybe, or Odin may be looking for the cutoff. Not able to get it. A bit too slow. You see the Hu yelled onto the Jingwei. He does get the stun, and the Jingwei will fall. David soloing Afro. After that entire last game, it's looking a bit rough on the side of Far Out, even after getting that pick onto the Geb. Support for ADC is not what you want to see, especially on an ADC like Hu Yi. You can provide all that pressure when he gets ahead. Hu Yi not necessarily the easiest guy to get ahead on, but once he gets ahead, he does provide so much damage. You may just walk into the jungle as this Osiris, and if you get hit by a random triple ricochet, you just die. Hu Yi very hard to gank when he's ahead. On the right hand side of the map doesn't really have much to offer. We will just see this Yarm and then Serb hit each other a bit. Nothing new for solo laners. Always got to be padding the player damage stat. If our player damage isn't the highest at the end of the game, then we lost lane. It's how we make ourselves feel important. It truly is. At the end of the day, more player damage in lane, better player. Right now, llVascll is looking like the better player. Out damaging Jordan. You see the rollout come onto the Osiris, throwing him straight back towards his team. The Osiris, the Scylla makes her way over. The Lord of the Afterlife does save him from the Cataclysm. The Hu Yi ult comes out, but it's a miss. But it does zone out the Osiris. He's able to jump on him, but the knockup saves the Osiris, and the Hu Yi will fall to the Witchfire and the Jingwei damage. Yamoja taking a lot of damage, but the Bird Bomb is off. Does not hit the Yamoja. Only hits the Jingwei. They both get out. Man. I feel like that fight just could have gone way cleaner for the side of Kittens with Mittens. Even after the Hu Yi fell. He did also use his beads in that fight, it looks like. Even after Hu Yi fell, it still felt like they lived a bit too long. And they'll lose this Scorpion for it. Yeah, but we'll back. It looks like Serb was invading the blue. My bad. I tapped out to read chat. Serb will ult, try to give him a bit of safety. Bit of a weird ult. He wasn't CC muting anything there. You see him get hit by 2 hits of World Serpent, and it looks like he will fall here to the Yorm Consuming Bellow. Oh, and the damage out of Baba. What's her one called? Is it called Crazy Witchcraft or something? Wild Witchcraft. You know, I'm close enough. That's the same ability. You see Hui positioning for this purple invade. Doesn't mark before he ricochets, however. llVascll maybe getting a bit lucky there. Doesn't take as much damage as maybe he should. We see Odin go from Blackthorn into the Void Shield, opting for a very bruiserish build. I'm very excited for next patch when Void Shield's going to be dead on arrival, 45 prots, and I never have to see that item built by my jungler again. In fact, I'm expecting to never see that item built on any role again. Can't wait. I'm sure eventually they'll raise the power on that item, and it'll be, like, usable. But it was just making you too tanky for the amount of damage it provided. So I'm pleased that they went that direction with it. As we do see far out decide to pull the Gold Fury. Osiris zoning, but Motion looking like he's going to fall. The Hui ult is able to pick him up on the back. We do see Jingwei getting a bit low in that Odin cage. Has to ult out. The spear will follow. Does not kill Yamoja low. The Odin 3 does connect to stun her, but the Omi regen from the ultimate is enough to give her another Riptide to get her out of there. David, I thought he was Netrioid going for that one. Doesn't get it, but they do end up invading the red, and they're likely to go back to the Gold Fury. llVascll is over here playing mini games with the Yorm. Who can secure the blue buff? It's the Yorm, in case you were wondering. Nobody's on their way to this goal, so this should just be free for the side of Kittens with Mittens. We do see Motion opting for a bit more of a traditional Osiris build, going from the Ichable into the stone cutting. Likely to see maybe a Void or a bit of defense come out from him now. Maybe Berserkers. In any case, Kittens with Mittens with a 1.5k gold lead. See what they can do with this. Baba Yaga 2-0. But the Hui riding a lot of pressure. We do see the Hui. Looks like maybe he jumped onto the Jingwei. No, he was trying to get to the purple buff to get over the wall. Does have his beads forced, but is alive. llVascll loses his tower. Bit of gold for the side of far out. Bring it back within 1300. So dashed over the wall. Bit of poke. Scylla maybe in a bit of an awkward position here. Oh, the Osiris ult does come out and hits the Scylla. The cabin comes out onto the Scylla. But is not able to confirm enough damage. The Odin cage comes out, only traps the Emoja. Bit of aim for the Baba or the Osiris. Maybe get the spear damage onto the Osiris, but not enough. The Emoja ult. Great ult to stop the chasing Motion. And will just be used to disengage. Another thing I'm excited for. 140 cooldown on River's Rebuke. In case you guys were unaware, Emoji ult next patch will be the longest cooldown in the game, tied with Morrigan ult at rank 1. Morrigan ult being 140 at rank 1, but scaling down to 80 at rank 5. Maybe this will finally be the nail in the coffin for Yamoja. Not necessarily making her fighting worse, but making it to where she can't initiate or use it to peel as often. Really excited for that change. Maybe that'll bring in a bit more diversity into the support pool. Way likely to use the lose tower here to the Hui. And does indeed. Kittens with Mittens taking the tower right back, bringing it back up to 1500. This game slow down a bit. Fireside Scorpion still not done, so no, neither team looking for Pyro. Odin is going for Pridwin. And if I recall, that item is banned in certain leagues. I'm not sure if it's banned in Valhalla. I don't know why, actually, because I don't think Pridwin's bugged. Excuse me while I check this. Okay, so in Valhalla League, it doesn't look like the item's banned anymore. Excuse me, as they do get a kill in the left-hand side onto Jingwei. He also super low. Odin low as well, but Osiris looking like he might fall for overstaying. Yeah, I don't know why Pridwin is banned, but it's not banned anymore. It looks like Hide of the Urchin isn't banned anymore either. We do see motion fall to Monkey Dealer. Yeah, I never actually knew why Pridwin was banned. Yeah, I know Odin had a I know about the UG with Urchin. I play a lot of Odin. I have 2 stars on him. But I never knew what the interaction was with Pridwin, because Odin is always when he shields, it pops the Pridwin shield like prematurely. But that was never a bug, because he loses the Pridwin shield, and then it'll just do the damage in the slow like early. But otherwise, I'm not aware of what the Pridwin bug was. Spirit Robe on the other hand, or Urchin on the other hand, that one was a pretty funny bug. I don't think it was necessarily the most impactful bug. It was just insanely annoying to look at, because the second you put Odin in combat, it stopped. But it was still funny to just watch him walk around blowing up over and over again. We see Jordan opting for a very defensive build, going into the Bulwark and the Voidstone. On Yorm, I'm not a fan of it. Yorm is one of those soul laners where I don't think you're getting a full value out of him if you're not going full damage, or not full damage. You don't need to go full damage, but he really wants more damage items, I feel. Yorm doesn't necessarily get all of his value if he doesn't have more damage, because he just doesn't provide a whole lot of CC in team fights. I'm going to be incredibly honest with you. I didn't know Jingwei could dash out of Odin Cage. That was kind of weird looking. We do see them all the way deep in the jungle. Bobolt is forced. As you saw in a matchup, I play that often, and I was almost positive that that Scylla 3 is a dash. It is a dash. That's weird. I'm you know, I want to say I'm pretty sure that's not how that's supposed to work. But I've been proven wrong. Yeah, I know it's weird because she can't dash over other walls. Like, I'm pretty sure she can't dash over Ymir's or Cabra's. I'm pretty sure she can dash over Thor's, but Thor's wall is just weird. Thor's wall doesn't work like any other wall in the game for some reason. We do see both sides group up for this Gold Fury, except for llVascll, who is on his blue buff right now. And the eternal pain of Guardians is not being able to clear their own buff or proxy, as it just takes 7 years. But he is able to finish it eventually. We do see him opt for the Sunder, while we see Jordan opt for the Thorns. A pretty standard pickup for Yorm. Just be annoying. Jingwei dashing away on the left-hand side. The game has slowed down a lot. He's a poke coming onto the Emoja, but we're not likely to see anything else. The shield comes out onto the Scylla to prevent the poke damage. And we see an Odin leap come out the cage onto the Emoja. Emoja not having her Phantom. She's not level 12. The Emoja's falling inside the cage. Odin gets 5 power off his passive. And that's how you know the game's over. But Monkey Dealer able to die from the Baba's house and the World Serpent coming out of Yorm. We do see him chasing out this Guzzie on this Baba. He does fall. Osiris coming in with the tether and the passive, but he already used his ult. However, they can't go into him because we see this Jingwei pumping out numbers with these elbow procs. Like they see her dash in here, and she does. He's going to fall, but the massive ricochet on the motion, and Afro forces them to back up. Will we see Afro fall here? Get no mana out of the Geb. Oh no. Oh, they can't do it. They can't finish him off. And Yorm will force out the Odin, and everybody will leave this fight. maybe going a bit better for far out than it should have. In fact, no, Geb does have enough mana for the shield. And now he has enough mana for the dash, so he will dash away. He'll roll out his little rock. His little rock. We do see the 2 tanks on the side of far out pull this Pyromancer. Look at the DPS coming out onto this thing. We see it at... I can't see it, actually. We see it at 50% HP. Getting absolutely destroyed. Now the Jingwei's here is actually falling. And we see far out acquire the Pyromancer. Push them a bit more back into this game. They are 5k behind in the XP department. Not the worst, but obviously not where you want to be. I'm pretty sure I just clicked straight onto player damage like 3 different times. Odin does get stunned. The Scylla Crush onto the Osiris with the Soul Gem proc. Osiris will ult through the cage. Takes the extra damage, but it looks like he'll fall to the Cerberus. The Mystical Male will finish him off with the Prot Shred. Umoja forced to use her beads. Baba in-house. Baba half HP. Odin silenced. Not able to get the jump off. And his shield is instantly destroyed, and we're likely to see Kittens with Mittens look for this. There's Skull Fury here. Hui still having ult, but Yorm also still having ult. World Serpent being a pretty good tool when it comes to stealing objectives, so we'll see how this fight ends up. Umoja not having her beads does get stunned straight out of her flight, and we will see her fall. That's a 2-for-0 trade. We're likely to see this Primal go the way of Kittens with Mittens. Yorm into ult. And we do see far out take the Goal Fury with the World Serpent. Oh, what am I trying to turn on this? Jordan Reed with the World Serpent able to out-secure the Scylla Crush. That's just not what you want to see if you're a Monkey Dealer. That's super unfortunate. I'm sure his team's giving him a bit of help for that one. Primal Fury basically evening up the 2 previous kills and a bit of invading that Kittens with Mittens was able to do. Now we see these teams group up a bit more for Fire Giant. I'm actually scared that if this game goes a bit farther, if this game goes a bit too long, I might have to leave in game 3 if it goes to game 3. Jordan with that Yormult. Not want this game to be too far apart. And based on game 1, there's still plenty of opportunity for Kittens with Mittens to throw this game. As we see them set up around the Fire Giant. 3k gold lead. Not that much. Maybe 1 tier of an item for certain items. You do see the Jingwei taking a lot of damage, though. Jingwei being blown up. Straight in the Odin cage. Another 5 power for the Odin. Oh, we do see the triple Yorm knockup. And Baba Yaga will still fall Odin low. He does get the shield off. Osiris now in no man's land. No ult available for him. Likely to fall here. And Osiris will fall. Yorm now in a bad position. Hui will jump on him. Thorns popped, but the Geb shield will save him from dying to the Thorns. We're likely to see Jordan get chased out of this fight and die. Would have been a crazy ricochet. Oh my god. He's not dead. Oh, the Serb one. And it looks like Hui's sent it back. He's not healthy enough. I feel like he may have been with the 5% lifesteal, but probably a good decision to back. Or pulling this Fire Giant. But now when they pull this fire, if they do, we'll see 3 members, possibly 4. Side of far out up. In fact, we will see 4 for the side of far out up. We do see Jingwei path over to the left side of the map in order to grab her farm. He is Jingwei, so she can just fly back over to the Fire Giant. Not a huge deal. As we see Kittens with Mittens pull this Fire Giant. Yorm getting knocked up for the Gaia proc for the guy he doesn't have. Always a good choice. We do see him get off the zone. We see the Bob ult come out. We see Scylla ulting super early this time to secure. Does not want to lose another objective, but at what cost? This time she's not going to be able to secure it. You see the Hu Yi ult come out as well. It'd be a shame if they lost this now, but they do end up securing the Fire Giant. Geb, trapped in the Emoja ult, is able to live with the shield. The Surb ult comes out onto Emoja and Osiris. Emoja beats him, but Osiris stuck. He will ult out. Not able to get the cage out soon enough to slow him and get the spear on him. Osiris will blink out and everybody lives, but fire goes into the hands of KWM. Looks like they're going to wait on top of this Pyromancer. In order to get that as well. After that, we're likely to see them push some towers. Now we're looking at a 5k gold lead for the side of Kittens with Mittens. Actually not that big of an XP lead. Most of the XP leads in mid. Oh, I lied. They're mid and solo have a pretty big XP lead. Both ADCs at 20, so not a huge deal for them. I think I feel like these Emoja walls just aren't getting the same amount of value that they did last game. I feel like they're just spacing for it way better. We do see the Emoja also only has 1400 healing. And that could just be another sign of how unorganized Far Out feels right now. It just feels like they have a team that's built to be together, but between the Surb, Odin, and Geb ults and this Hu Yi ult, like all these big circles, you just really don't want to be standing next to each other. But then the Emoji just doesn't get the value she wants. Very hard for Far Out to be able to group how they want to with all this area denial on the side of Kittens with Mittens. And at the end of the day, what we see right now is that it just feels like Kittens and Mittens have drafted a far better teamfight comp. As inside the wall, you do see the Emoji ult come out, but all it does is really stall the push. You see the Hu Yi ult come out to zone the Baba house a bit off. And they're pushed back a bit, but only ult that was expended on the side of Far Out is the Hu Yi ult in exchange for your Emoja Baba ult. Pretty big defense ults, but they will opt to go to the mid lane instead of continuing their push. They'll take the red buff and they'll fall back to the Oni Fury. Emoja also in that last fight has her upgraded Phantom, but she just wasn't able to use it. Never really near the Odin cage. Right now, you know, we saw this last game, but we're looking at a pretty lopsided game in KWM's favor, and I don't think they're looking to throw this again. Maybe that's why they backed off the Gold Fury there. They want to make this as clean as they can possibly make it. Fire's actually already almost out. I didn't realize they took that long to siege. And yes, I agree, the Yorm just wasn't able to do what he wanted to in the early game. Yorm usually being a lane bully, able to invade proxy and just rotate without any pressure, but because he got ganked so early and was forced down, this Yorm just is not getting the value that the character wants. Yorm's saving grace also being that World Serpent, but Jordan using it to engage. He's having a hard time surviving these fights after he gets the World Serpent forced. That combined with the fact that Hu Yi Mark being able to burn him down insanely quickly. I'm a bit worried for Far Out's chances here. Apologies, I was getting a drink, but we do see the Geb Blink ult to start the fight. Does force the Jingwei ult, the Baba ult, the Phantom, the House. We see Baba still getting run down by the Serb even in the house. He is picked up. Odin half HP. Does not have the Boomba's hammer online to heal yet. We still see them back off. I don't like that call. I would have liked to see them push. But I guess they're worried about the half-health Odin. Fire Giant is coming up. It is still the safe call, but I would have liked to see them get a bird first. Now they also have to worry about this World Serpent that they've lost the Gold Fury to before. Even with a Scylla, I'd like to say that Scylla does out-secure World Serpent, but we've already been proven wrong, and they're dropping the fire in the 5v4 without the Yaga there. They're not taking any chances. They want this game to be as secure in their grasp as they possibly can. You see them chasing out the Emoja. The Sunder is missed, but the Yorm will be trapped in a cage. He will be forced to ult out. In fact, he actually ults back in. The Osiris ulting out in order to stay alive. Oh, Scylla collects on the Jingwei and just decimates her from 70% HP. Yorm lands in the backline onto the Hu Yi, but he doesn't have the damage in order to finish. The Hu Yi pops the Thorns late. Turns back around to the Hu Yi. The Hu Yi kills himself onto the Thorns. Oh, no. The Cap had shield available, but didn't shield the Hu Yi, and he dies of the Thorns. Geb... Oh yeah, Geb Blink does come out in order for the knockup. I was confused because he still had a 100-second cooldown. It's the Relic Dagger messing me up. We do see them just pushing this out. Baba stands still, accepts her death. No ADC, and they're pushing this bird now. Oh lord, the Scylla without the poly. They're autoing away. They're hammering away. Oh, they'll get this bird eventually. Osiris, no ult available. He will fall to the cage. That bird is still going. Odin almost falls to the damage from the Phoenix. Phoenix MVP, but not good enough. Odin mitigating 33k. All these tanks, in fact, taking so much damage. They're so hard to kill. What a shame. And now we'll likely see KWM group back around this Fire Giant. Look to take this and end the game. Like I said at the start, I didn't see this game being shorter than 30, and sure enough, here we are with these two late game comps, bringing it out to 30 minutes. And we see KWM pull the Fire Giant. Far Out is in position to contest even without their Osiris, likely to see maybe a World Serpent come out, but it looks like he's a bit too far away, to be honest. I'm not sure he makes it to the fire. He doesn't. He's not even close enough to contest it. He will fall. Jingwei gets the dash off away from the Surbolt. Surbolt expended, but Yorm now in an awkward position will get revealed by the Mystical Male. And I'm not sure this Yorm lives. Will be slowed by the Geb 1. And it looks like he has accepted his fate. And he's going to try to get off as much damage as he can before he dies, but it's not that much. And they've got Fire Regen, and they've got EFG. Ladies and gents, it's looking like we're going to a game 3 unless someone pulls a miracle play here. Guzzie without the Baba's house. I'm really scared for the side of Far right now. I don't know what they can do here. The Mittens have taken all 3 Phoenixes to weaken the Titan. Jordan's still dead for 30 seconds. Almost every ult available. The cage comes out on the Jingwei, forcing her ult. It looks like we are just going to see them dump on the Titan right here. Nobody taking any damage. The Scylla zoned out by the Osiris, but do they even need her? Scylla ult comes out onto the Titan, and we are going to a game 3, 34-15. Kids with Mittens take game 2. Oh boy. Ooh. Once again, you know, I know they won first game with it. I really don't want Far Out to go back to this Osiris. I feel like they're not getting value from it. I feel like, in the end, it was an incredible dive diff. I feel like Raging Hurdo and llVascll did a great job of getting into the backline of Far Out, making it really hard for them to operate as compared to last game. Motion and Jordan just were not able to do the same. David and Monkey Dealer, even though their damage numbers aren't the most flashy, I feel like they were able to walk wherever they want in these fights, and they were able to do whatever they wanted. I would love to see it. I don't want to see Odin play it again. First of all, so let's get that clear, right? Odin, maybe he didn't do absolutely everything, but that god is very unfun to play against, and I'm sure the carries did not enjoy it on the side of Far Out. Odin, never fun god to play against. Otherwise, in general, Kittens with Mittens, I'd love to see them just return to what they got. They had a pretty plug-and-play draft with the Cerberus and the... I've already forgotten what they had in support, to be honest. The Cerberus and the Geb. Maybe Geb wants a bit more pressure, but when Far Out is drafting Jingwei, you don't need to pick pressure. You know, they're drafting Jingwei and Baba as their backline, and there's no one to really pressure out this Geb early. So Geb was able to pretty much free farm the late game. So if they're gonna draft like that again, I don't think you need to switch up the Geb. Honestly, I don't think Kittens with Mittens needs to change much. I think Far Out needs to reevaluate the solo and the jungle picks mostly. We'll see who has the first pick going into game 3. First pick going into game 3 will be held by Kittens with Mittens. Give me a second while I get this sorted. I also... did I forget to start the prediction for game 2? Unfortunate. That's my bad. I'm trying to do too much at once. Into picks and bans. We see, once again, very standard bans. The Tiamat taken away. The Raijin taken away. Almost positive these teams have not switched up their first bans any game. And here, we see the Wheelix band again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Bando Wheelix worked out. If Far Out wants to keep playing this Osiris, let him. I see no reason to make an adjustment for something that didn't have the biggest impact, and we see Far Out banning the Odin. So already a bit of adjustments have to be made in the KWM draft. Not sure how they feel about their front line without the Odin involved. I personally think it's still not the worst in the world, but you may want something in that can fill in that spot. And we see the Emoja as the third ban for Kittens with Mittens. Another god where, honestly, even if it didn't do the most, I'm not sure I really want to see it a third time, if I'm either side. Not a very fun god to play against. We do see the Osiris banned, and an interesting event. We see
Artemis.
Artemis get through the picks and bans. Artemis is the first pick for KWM. Oh man, there's just so much to pick and ban. And then you have this. You have, in my opinion, Artemis is the most frustrating god in the game to play against. I'd rather fight her than Tiamat because I think Tiamat is better. But Artemis, crazy.
Persephone.
Speaking of crazy,
Gilgamesh.
I don't know what I'm looking at. That's something that got through. These are already starting off as some crazy drafts. Sol and Morgan Le Fay have not been picked or banned either game, so I'm not so sure we'll see them. On the other hand, these first three picks are coming out incredibly strong. We see this followed up by another top pick and another that's a bit lower,
Scylla.
but we did just see success from it in the previous game. We see the Scylla picked again. Man, these are already some drafts. If I had to go against either of these drafts in my average Smite game, I would not want to be playing Smite game. That's one way to put it. I do see the Sobek to round out the picks for Jordan, most likely. In the second phase of bans, we see the Geb ban. Not a Geb pick. Almost did that for the second time. We see a Jingwei ban, which I like. I would love to see Afro forced onto a different god. Currently, we still have Izanami and Rama still open. Likely to see a ban of either of those two in their next slot as well. At least that's what I would expect. I'm pretty sure Kittens with Mints have banned Izanami Game 1 and Game 2. Unless I'm mistaken and Far Out was the one who banned it. I would love if it's a support Sobek, but honestly, I have no faith in people at this point anymore. I think solo Beck is an abomination. I think it's not fun to play. I don't think it's fun to fight. And it is just annoying how good it can be at times. Fenrir is banned out, and we see the Athena banned out. So it looks like they are on the same boat, and they think it is a solo Beck. Ah, yeah, I did forget that that David did play Izanami Game 1. And we see all these bans instantly followed up by the Rama. Very fast lock-in. We see the Ymir hover. And it will end up being locked in. Now we are looking for a jungler on the side of Kittens with Mittens. And we see some spice.
Bakasur.
I hate the pick, but I respect it, you know? There are 1,010,000 people playing this game that hate seeing Bakasura. I myself, I think that god is extremely cringe, and for an entirely different reason than Sobek is. But I would love to see how Raging Turtle plays it out. There are two ways to play Bakasura. You farm, and then you farm the enemy team because you're just 4 levels up on everyone. Or you split push for the entire game because nobody on that far out team is taking a 1v1 with you except maybe Rama. Maybe Xingchen could take the 1v1, but it would be like a very extended 1v1. A Boxer would win it because Xingchen can't reduce the true damage off the autos. So we're looking at a Bakasura pick, and Bakasura does do well into Persephone, right? Persephone ults him, he just ults her back, and she can't leap out of it, and he's CC immune, so he doesn't get Persephone, he doesn't get tethered, and it's very annoying. I think the Persephone struggles with it. I think the other 4 If this Bakasura plays like an actual teamfight player, I think he's going to struggle. I think he has to play this game as scummy as he possibly can if he wants to get value out of the pick. But we'll see where he goes with it as we load into game 3. Waiting for them all to connect before I switch over. But I love me some scummy Psura. We see Jordan taking the Sobek into the solo lane. wildturkeydown taking the Xingqian to the support, and Gilgamesh going into the jungle. We see canonKai going into support with the Ymir, Serb solo, a Raging Turtle in the jungle with the Bakasura. Okay, there it goes. And we are off. 3 blinks to start the game against Persephone, Xingqian, Gilgamesh, Sobek. Oh boy. I do not expect this game to be as long as the other two were, if I'm being quite honest. One of these teams should be getting farmed. And I'm excited to find out which team it is. Which is weird. I don't expect to say that with the Scylla and an Artemis on the side of Kittens with Mittens. But they look like they're trying to get off to a fast start. We see pretty normal starts. I see in chat, thinking that maybe Bakasura should go the eye instead of the mannequins. I think either's fine, really. Mannequins just doesn't fit into his late game playstyle because he doesn't get the hidden blade value. But he can honestly just sell it. But Protector of the Jungle does work a lot better on Bakasura late game, I will admit. But Mannequins does offer him that that express farming that Bakasura is always after. Oh, we love us some Bakasura gameplay. Far out will get the other left side Harpy, but it looks like both right side Harpies might have gone to the way of Gilgamesh, as we do see an Eye of the Jungle ward on one of them. Not so sure about the other. They probably split them. You see a bit of brawling going on at the oracles, but Gilga maybe not grabbing his leap, doesn't have it, so he will survive. Xingqian being forced out. Guzzie getting a solo kill in the mid lane onto the Scylla. I guess the burst damage from the 2 into the jump really caught him off guard. Monkey Dealer getting soloed. Persephone from ahead is vicious. Like we said, looking to get a bit active. We see the blink come out, but not able to pull the beads or get any follow-up out of it. The Serb getting plucked, but he just ups, downs the way. He's like, sure, whatever, I'm just going to heal. And he goes back to doing whatever Cerberus does. Bakasura eating the Harpy. Has not backed, actually. Might be looking for this blue buff invade. A very risky invade. Let's walk straight into the Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh not very entertained. Instead says, alright, well, you're over here, you're low. Let's go for the blue buff, is what I thought. But instead he goes and does Totem. So, no invade coming from the Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh still stuck at level 2. Lowest level in the game. He's Gilgamesh. He'll be fine. Raging Turtle just not opting to back at all. Instead, just hyper farming the jungle, looking for his Golden Blade rush, I'd imagine. Golden Blade or Stone Cutting. Boss getting plucked into the tower, it looks like, but doesn't really care. 15 prots from Vamp Shroud's enough. He just walks right out. Ymir backing, grabbing some wards is T2 Gauntlet of Thebes. After that first blood, once again, we are back into a slow game. So Beck ult coming out. But llVascll, having the blink available, just says, nah, not interested. Gone. And we're just back to a little bit of a passive game. We see the Persephone go for the Chronos Pendant rush. Not entirely unusual these days. I personally would have liked to see her go something else, but what can you do? I'm not a mid laner. I don't know what happens in that role. Zilla, it looks like, is going for the rod, as she would have had enough to finish the, No, she wouldn't have, because she got first blooded. We do see the Bakasura in position for this purple. The purple is a ways off. He's got about another 20 seconds, so they're over here a bit early. So they're just gonna roam to the mid lane. Maybe look to pick off this Persephone, who may be roaming over to them. But Persephone, thinking better of it, turns around. Gilgamesh getting a T1 Berserkers. His free item. Hopefully he builds it. We see the Bakasura ult come out onto the Rama. Rama beadsing. Rolling away. The Xingqian ult is huge. None of them have beads except the Artemis. And they'll just all get tossed away. But Afro may be overstaying. Artemis, if she ults, might chain it to the Rama. In fact, she might just kill this Xingqian. But no ult is expended. Instead, Kittens will just pick up the Scorpion. Walk away from this engagement. Voidstone rush out of the Sobek. Bulwark rush out of llVascll. Now nobody's ever dying in that lane. No need to ever tab back over there. Gilgamesh, I lied, I guess. He did not get the T1 round shield from his item. Instead, he got a T1 shuriken. The Gilgamesh build coming out looking like a League of Legends build. Out here with 2 tier 1s and a tier 2. Honestly, it's always a treat to see Gilgamesh builds. I'd love to see him build the T2 Fighter's Mask before he finishes an item. If it was me, I'd be sitting there telling my team after I build Fighter's Mask that I'm basically full build. And they'd be calling me stupid. But that's one of the fun parts of playing Gilgamesh. Gotta keep it entertaining instead of just drop kicking people into walls. The Xingqian blinks, but doesn't have the ult available. Bit of a weird one. Bakasura, not having beads, gets punished for it. Ymir also not having beads. This lack of beads is really hurting this Kittens with Mittens aggression. I feel like if they had beads instead of blink, they can maybe like do more with their lead, or not their lead, but like there are all these aggressive gods, but instead they're just getting punished. We do see the solo kill. My apologies. We see the solo kill from David go on to Afro. Artemis into Rama. Not a fun matchup for Rama. We see llVascll get the blue because they were looking at the at him instead of the buff. We see Guzzie get the kill on the back end onto the Ymir, and we see the Serb fall in return for the blue buff, most likely. Yes, he falls to the Persephone too. What's that called? Harvest still? Neat. I would have expected him to change the name of that ability. And we see Orp go to the side of Far Out. This Persephone is 4-0. Please, for Kittens with Mittens, do not walk anywhere near that mid lane. There's a fed Persephone on the loose. Kittens with Mittens, however, is actually holding an XP lead, especially in this dual lane and in the jungle. So, hopefully they're able to make something out of it. You see a bit of aggression in the mid lane. Bakasura throws the ult, but he's way out of, or way overshoots the ult. Persephone jumps away, but the Ymir wall does block her from throwing the Grasp of Death at the Bakasura in order to keep him locked down, so he would just jump away. The Blink and ult expended, though, and only in return for the Xingqian ult. You see Gilgamesh in the right-hand jungle, baiting those mini camps. And we see Persephone getting a bit more tower damage, ever so closer to knocking this mid tower down. Persephone maxes 1, it looks like. I'm a fan of maxing the 2, but whatever floats your boat. I'm sure you can max either. Once again, not a mid player. Cerberus gets kicked on the right-hand side, jumps backwards. The goat doesn't even need to look the direction he's jumping. He honestly thought he was Persephone, who has instead died in the mid lane. Cerberus took Persephone's jump for a second. She ended up dying. I don't know how that happened. A little bit of a trade-off there. We do see Rama picking up the Draugr. Takes him a little while, but he does get it. Artemis having the T2 oboe. I would have loved to see them pull this Gold Fury here. I don't know why they're going for the Rama. I don't think there was anybody to contest the Gold Fury. Bakasura having the mannequins, they could have shredded it. But instead, here we are, trying to gank the Rama under tower with Draugr. Let's see how this pays off. The Rama still having ult available. I'd love to see the Artemis ult enforce it. But instead, he just destroys him. Actually, Artemis not having ult. Right, I guess they use ult on the Persephone in the mid lane. We do see them pulling the Gold Fury, but they're likely to drop it. Ymir stuck in the Gold Fury, tanking all that Gold Fury damage. Xingqian ult coming out, forcing Artemis beads. Ymir forced back in. Scylla hits the ult of the Xingqian, but it looks like it's not enough. Bakasura bleeds to death from the Xingqian one. Xingqian leaps away, and Persephone finishes off the kill onto the Ymir. That's a 2-for-0, and Kittens with Mittens do not get the Gold Fury. It's still up for grabs. Both teams walk away. I'm gonna be honest, Far Out's looking real good this game. But what could finish the deal for them is if Gilgamesh builds this Wind Demon, but as I say that, he sells the T1 for the Berserkers. And now I've just got to root for Kittens with Mittens. I'm sorry, I'm a biased caster. But I can't root for a Gilgamesh that sells his items that he gets from his passive. It's your quest. You gotta go on your quest. It's the law of Gilgamesh. Very unfortunate we don't see him opt in for it. Nothing really happening. It's looking like Sobek is holding about 3,000 gold. Am I correct? Yeah, he's holding 3,000 gold. llVascll is going back to solo lane instead of rotating this Gold Fury. It looks like Gilgamesh might be able to get a good kick off here. He doesn't have the blink available, instead he has the beads. So not able to get into there fast enough. Jordan is just walking around with an entire treasury in his back pocket. Not really interested in backing yet. He's so back. He doesn't care. It's not like the Bakasura is on his way to gank him. We do see this Gold Fury started up by the Far Out squad. They have a bit more damage onto it, but the confirm is still always in the favor of Kittens with Mittens with this Scylla ult. I'm a monster, dealing an insane amount of damage at this point in the game. Even with just the Chronos Pendant, likely to hit for at least 550 on a Gold Fury that has maybe 6,000 health, 7,000, excuse me. I will outsecure just about anything that Far Out can throw at it. Some pings coming out onto the Ymir. They do de-ward on that bottom left-hand side. Nothing much happening. Neither team opting to go for the objectives. Another slower game. I honestly expected this game to be a lot faster. I feel like with these comps, Maybe not with the comps between the Syl and the Artemis, but maybe mainly for Far Out. I expected this game to be a bit faster paced. But we do see another slow burning game, or we're likely to see another 30-minute. I have 20 minutes left, so hopefully this game does not go past 35. Raging Turtle misses 3 autos with a Pyromancer, caught in 4K. But Kittens with Mittens will secure this Pyromancer. On the other side of the map, Far Out pulling the Gold Fury once again. They hear the Pyro go down, so they're likely to try to commit to it this time. Persephone in a bit of an awkward position, not really DPSing it all that fast, kind of moving awkwardly. Does get the Artemis beads, but the side of Kittens with Mittens is closing in. They're taking a bit too long to burn this Gold Fury. Xing Chen's taking a lot of damage. The Syl comes out, does hit Xing Chen, but not enough. The Chronos Pendant not offering the damage onto the gods that he's looking for. Does try to throw the crush, but misses. Xing Chen too far away. The Gilgamesh ult binding damage catches Ymir in a bad spot. Ymir does fall. Raging Turtle gets a triple. I didn't see who the other kill went to. Raging Turtle with the triple kill. And Sobek walks the Artemis trap. llVascll gets the kill. I'm not actually sure if they could do this Gold Fury. It looks like they will be able to get this done. That is a deicide for the side of Kittens with Mittens and Gold Fury to bring them into a 2.5k gold lead. See Sobek opting into the Tyrannical. Artemis and Bakasura holding a lot of gold. You see a pretty standard Bakasura build. Nothing really out of the ordinary. In terms of build all around, nothing too weird. Maybe the Gilgamesh going a second mace is kind of awkward, but with the blink he picked up at level 12, he is able to pick up Raging Turtle overstaying. Might fall for it. A little bit of a weird blink out of the Ymir. Oh my god, they've killed him. Scylla ult and Cerberus ult coming out onto the Gilgamesh. And he said, no, you don't take my jungler. And they ended his whole career. But nothing on the map to secure for the side of Kittens with Mittens. So we just go back to farming. Both junglers traded out. Bakasura picking up his kin size. Monkey Dealer does fall to the Xing Chen in middle lane. And now we're just going back to farming. It looks like Jordan was able to secure his blue. Now we're back in it. Kittens with Mittens able to finally pick up a bit of the lead they were looking for. David getting a Silver Branch bow online. That's a huge power spike for the Artemis. And currently we're at the point in this game where we see this level 17 Artemis. Who's going to dive this is what I want to know. Who is going to be the one that is going to dive David on this Artemis? Because I don't think they have the damage output. Kill an Artemis. The Sobek in the solo lane. As long as Artemis has her beads and ult available, I think there is no way for Far Out to kill her without all 5 of them dying in the process. Scylla kicked into the wall by the Gilgamesh. We do see the Persephone ult come out to try to finish her. It does not connect. Gilgamesh brought very low. Does fall to the Bakasura ult. Bakasura in the back line. It's a tear. His ult goes off. His ult's over, but the damage is already done. Extremely low on the side of the mid laner and the support. Rama snipes are off. Scylla lives another day. David will come in and clean up the last kill of that fight. 3 for 0. Sorry, a 3 for 1. Ymir dying at the beginning of that fight. Maybe not necessarily in the fight, but he does fall. We may see them look for a fire giant or something here. The mid T1 fall. Dor not really able to stand in front of that Artemis. Jordan not really able to stand in front of that Artemis. And Both teams just go back to farming instead of opting for the fire giant pool. You know, to put my input in on the discussion, I think Hidden Blade is obviously like an incredible item. But to get the value of Hidden Blade, you need to be the one initiating the fight. You need to be getting the first hit in. And Bakasura doesn't really have a clear, surefire way to initiate the fight without getting hit first. So he doesn't necessarily always get that proc of Hidden Blade, which will lose him the damage. And at that point, why go the Hidden Blade? It's not the worst, but I would prefer to see a different option out of him. Hidden Blade being a bursty option and Bakasura being more of a burn jungler. He just wants that consistent damage. Do see them pull this fire. They frenzy at the very beginning. The Purse ult actually locking them into the fire giant. They're not able to escape. David caught by the Xing Chen ult. It will throw him back, and he's taking loads of damage with this fire giant pool. Will he die to the ring? No, he dies to the winds of Shamash instead. Bakasura kicked to the wall. Will Beads does die to the blade. And we see Scylla super low. Does ult. Is able to peel for herself for a second, but will also fall. And this is a perfect fire giant opportunity for the side of Far Out. You still hold every member alive, and Afro is going strong on the left-hand side, split pushing, but not able to finish anything off. We should still see a fire giant pool here. I'm not sure how long the three of these guys take to pull it. And they stacked pools on the fire giant. So it looks like they're calling to get off it. Yes. They will get off the fire giant, not able to pull it correctly, and will end up not being able to take that or winning the fight. Honestly, it's kind of weird that they come out of that fight not super far ahead. I mean, the graph tells a different story, obviously. Going from about a 2.5k lead on the side of KWM to a 2k lead on the side of Far Out, but I feel like that fight should have gone even better for them. I feel like they should be able to get objective. But just unfortunate on their side. You see Artemis going into the Wind Demon for solo crit. Maybe she'll sell the Ickable late game in order to buy a Deathbringer. Ymir dropping the Pyro. Instead going for a Blink Freeze on Persephone. Does get the beads even without follow-up. Persephone a bit scared there. Maybe didn't know exactly where the rest of the team was on the side of Kittens with Mittens. But will lose her beads, which is an opening for Far Out here. Or for Kittens with Mittens here. Persephone being their main catalyst back into this game. And with their lead. With their lead, it's mostly Persephone and this Gilgamesh, but this Ymir wall just stifled the entire team. Made them take so long to get into this fight, and now their engage is kind of scuffed. Cerberus hitting a massive ult, killing the Gilgamesh and Rama and the Persephone. Xing Chen forced out. It's looking like Sobek is going to die on the back end. And this is almost certainly a fire giant for Kittens with Mittens. Oh, excuse me? It's 3 blinks. Alright, well, from what we see... Okay, so from what we see, that Ymir wall was beautiful. And that Cerberus ult was icing on the cake. Mwah, chef's kiss, right? Just destroyed any chance Far Out had of winning that fight, wasting Xing Chen ult and Persephone beats before the fight's even started. And then Serv's able to hit a massive ult, able to basically pick Gilgamesh, Persephone, and Rama. They're not able to do anything in that fight. Winds of Shamash never went out. And now we're just here. Kittens get the fire giant for free. Wild Turkey down falls. And now Kittens with Mittens are able to pull themselves back into it. Sorry that the game keeps going quiet. But, I keep tabbing out to read chat. Yes, I agree. I think the Ymir should have gone beads. But it's working out anyway, even without the Frenzy Pop. He didn't have to use either active in that fight. They're doing the Oni Fury. But Kittens with Mittens are aware on the other side of the map. It looks like they won't go for the bird, even with Wild Turkey down and 3 people on the Oni Fury. So Gilgamesh will stay in order to get some farm, push up this wave. Maybe get Draugr here. Yes, it looks like that's what I'll go for. I'll go for the Draugr. You know, I'm not much of a watcher of the Loki games. But from what I've seen this game, both of these ADCs are great players. If there's any takeaway I've gotten from this set, is that both these ADCs are great players in their own right. They both each had an incredible game. And maybe you can say that David's getting carried by Artemis because they don't have the dive for an Artemis. But he's still doing amazing. And I also think the front line for Kittens with Mittens this game and last game have put on a show. Monkey Dealer on the Scylla, while he's had a quiet game, I feel like he's still doing what's necessary of him. So, he gets that. llVascll opting in for the Magi's bubble. You know, I'd like to think that this dominance on Gilgamesh is another passive item. And he heard what I said about selling the Wind Demon, and he decided that he needs the dominance. Excuse me while I tab out. Because I am going to let Ice Age know. I might be slightly late. Oh my god. I tab back in just to see Ymir get plucked into Phoenix and destroyed. We see Dusky just run through the back line, hit all 5 people. 5-man Artemis ult. Hoorah. Does like 2,000 damage. Artemis actually got like 5k damage in that fight. Doesn't matter because Ymir gets picked. No beads available for him. No Magis either. And that just instantly shuts off the push from Kittens with Mittens. And it looks like we're back to an FG dance. No Phoenix is acquired for the side of KWM. We do see the Boxer opt for the Hidden Blade. Now, we're back to square one. As game 1, we saw a lead thrown from this far ahead, maybe even a bit farther ahead. Likely to see this game a bit more slow-paced out of Kittens with Mittens not wanting to throw another lead. Here we are. Wards being set up around fire by Far Out. Far Out actually has great ward coverage here. Can't really click on all of them. They just got dewarded on fire, but they have another ward back here. They have wards up here. They do not want to be caught off guard. Great ward vision. They also have a ward over here. Oh, never mind. I lied. Nor that. That ward was never there. You don't have any proof. Can Far Out continue to do what they've been doing, which is picking this Ymir and forcing him into a bad spot? A bit of damage comes out onto the Bakasura. He's Bakasura, so he's going to eat this Harpy and walk away. right back to this fire giant dance. Gilgamesh flanking around. There is a ward on him, however. We do see Bakasura get kicked into the wall. The ult doesn't come out. Gilgamesh uses the winds to try to self-peel. Does not die to the Serb ult. This Stygian Torment, whatever it's called. The wall is clean, comes out, forces the Sobek ult. Bakasura and Gilgamesh both forced to back. Artemis ult bouncing through the team fight. Does a bit of damage, as Tusky does. Beads forced by both junglers. But otherwise, we're straight back to this stalemate. 3 ults used by Far Out. 2 ults used by Kittens, and still have the Bakasura Regurgitate available. I'm a Monster. And the... I don't know what Ymir's ult is called. I feel like I should. I don't feel like Ymir ult's that hard. Shards of Ice. You see Bakasura just goes back and destroys this Gilgamesh for not having beads. Not able to jump away. And he just absolutely obliterates him with the Shogun's Kasari. What a pickup. I'm a fan. The defense for the triple magical, if you're just able to keep picking this Gilgamesh, you don't have to worry about him. The Rama snipes come out. And Kittens with Mittens will secure the fire giant with the Scylla ult and crush. See them reset, or they push. We see them going towards this duo lane. Ooh, I wasn't able to see, but I think that was an EFG. Just barely, by about 10 seconds. Primal Fury falls for KWM. Hopefully, if this fight goes either way, we see the game end here. I have got to go soon. The bubble comes back up for the Cerberus. Gilgamesh jumping away, not looking to die today. Still has his beads unavailable for 15 seconds. Oh my god, what a wall from canonKai. He said nope. Persephone, Grasp of Death, no. Not a factor in this game. So now they're just playing this game with 4 ults versus 5. Persephone also not really able to walk up to auto her plants. Still just being kind of disabled, but we do see the Aegis forced by the Gilgamesh onto the Artemis. Sobek ulting in order to stall a bit, but does get hit by the Scylla root out of the ult. Phoenix falls, Scylla ult not able to connect. I'm a Monster missing. Rama in the air looking for the Scylla. One snipe off, but the Xingqian is able to finish the kill. Rama on the ground being shredded by this Cerberus. Xingqian running this Ymir and this Artemis around, able to get the blink off, is alive. Ymir also using the blink, but not able to catch up. Xingqian having the leaps. At this point, he's chasing for no reason. This Artemis is not going to be able to keep up. The freeze is hit, but now he's just running him down. Will this Ymir solo this Xingqian? Gilgamesh able to jump away. Ymir not able to catch up to this Xingqian and kill him. One Phoenix traded out for the life of their mid. We go back to nothing. There is a duo side Phoenix down, however, so if they win the fight, there is an opportunity to win this game. So just to inform you guys, I'm going to be here for another 5 minutes. And if this game does not finish by 5:05, I will drop the game to go play in my set. Sorry, but we did have 3 40-minute games and an intermission of about 15 to 20 minutes. Very unfortunate, because I'd love to see how this third game plays out at this rate. It does look like KWM is going down solo side to look for the end. All 5 members arriving. Fire Giant wearing off in 10. Supp looking for the blink ult. Does catch both the tanks. Hits the stun. Xing Chen just gets CC locked all the way to death. B's not available for 7. Rasp of Death will hit the Ymir. Instantly burned through by the Boxer. And the Artemis Frenzy comes out. Artemis getting destroyed. Ymir hits the freeze. Damage coming out from the Scylla. A huge crush onto the backline. 3 almost dead, but the Scylla will die to the Gilgamesh. The Gilgamesh still alive. Only Supp's available. The Ansel procs the Supp too. Oh. They've got a second Phoenix, but the defense is somewhat successful. And we may even see Supp fall here. I don't... Oh, he doesn't keep chasing. I feel like... I feel like Supp could have caught the Supp, and they could have just kept going. I think in that fight, Artemis was just way too far out of position. Just not able to stay alive. You see, when they got into the Phoenix Siege, Artemis passed over to the right. And when she's right here, and you have this, you have all these ults coming out, and the Sobek ult right here, you're kind of zoned into this right side of the Phoenix. The Artemis just had nowhere to walk. And without the Artemis, this team isn't doing too hot in the damage department. Monkey Dealer able to hit a 3-man crush, but still sitting way towards the bottom of the damage charts, actually getting out damaged by the Sobek by 3 damage. A lot of their damage output is reliant on the Cerberus and this Artemis. We will see Far Out pick up the Fire Giant. Looks like as a bait, as they don't really have their Rama here. I don't think they can do it without him. We see this wave pushed up on the left-hand side, likely to see Kittens pull the Fire Giant soon, with this Gilgamesh showing his face. We do see them opt to de-ward and pull the Fire Giant. Sobek ult coming out. Scylla ult extremely early once again. Does come out onto the Fire Giant. Bakasura dies. Kittens with Mittens get the Fire Giant. Once again, though, someone has died on the side of KWM. Oh my god, the Artemis ult comes out, and the Xing Chen is just destroyed. But the Persephone damage comes true onto this Artemis and destroys her. Nobody's able to finish it, because Motion's not here. Motion's clearing out these fire waves. He's still going. Cerberus onto this Persephone. Artemis able to get her back off. All this damage coming out onto Persephone. Will she die? Yes, the answer is yes. If Sobek dies, this could be game right here. The stun does not connect, but the slow from Supp is huge. And it's looking like this is game 3 to the side of Kittens with Mittens. Sorry for tabbing out once again. Oh, please end the game. And we will see the end of game 3. From Shards of Ice, AWM will win the game. Oh boy. That was far longer than I think it had any right being, but still interesting games nonetheless. Show scoreboard, I'll show details. Alright, my team's trolling me. It was great casting this set. I have no outro to do. Instead, I'm just going to hop right off. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Choose outcome. Who just won that game? Kittens did. So good at this. And love you too, Desto. How do I raid? Give me like 3 seconds. Alright, goodbye.